This audiobook is a non-profit fan adaptation of the web novel The Primitive Ancient Snake. All credit goes to the original author. If you're the author and wish for this video to be removed or modified, please reach out at fabelversodio@gmail.com. Synopsis. Someone once saw me at the end of the world and called me with reverence the snake that wraps around the world, Jormungandr. There were also people who looked at me at the end of hell and called me the ancient snake. Satan also got the gods. In awe, he called me the 100-headed dragon, Typhon. I have had many names: the snake of creation, the snake of sacrifice, the snake of ritual, the snake of the world. But I traveled through the chaos and arrived. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 1. Well, what the hell is going on? Where is this place? Why is it so gray everywhere without any sunlight? Furukawa opened his eyes. He looked around and found that the surroundings were chaotic and gray. A chaotic air was surging everywhere. It was all nothingness and he couldn't see anything at all. He was suddenly frightened. Jump, because there is nothing above, below, left, and right, no land, no sky, no matter, and it is impossible to tell the difference between east, west, north, and south. It seems that the place where he is in the vacuum of the universe, and he is floating in the void. Wait, is this a chaotic world? Suddenly, a huge stream of consciousness came from the depths of Furukawa's sea of consciousness. It was the inherited information from the bloodline. It instinctively told him that this was the beginning of the universe and the birth of chaos. This was the beginning of the universe. And they are gods and demons born in chaos. I became a snake, the first snake born in chaos, the primitive ancient snake. Furukawa was a little confused. He also discovered that his body was no longer a human being, but had turned into a dark golden snake with a body length of 10,000 kilometers and bursts of dark golden light emitting from his whole body. If in the previous life, of course, this is a huge thing, but in the chaos, this is just a tiny creature, simply insignificant. At this moment, he clearly remembered that he had been in a car accident before and was hit by a car that was driving at high speed and did not obey the traffic rules. His sports car crashed and flew out, and at that time he completely lost his memory. But when he woke up, he found that he had become a snake that had just opened up from chaos.
Boom.
According to his character, he should be extremely panicked at this moment, yes, but at this moment, an icy cold current came from the depths of the sea of consciousness, instantly flooding every corner of his body. At this moment, all the negative emotions in his body disappeared, replaced by absolute calmness. It seems that nothing in the outside world can affect him. He also remembered that snakes are cold-blooded creatures, extremely calm, and will never be shaken by external things. It seems that the power of this body affects his emotions. Wait, if this was a prehistoric world, wouldn't it be possible that there would be Pangu, Hongjun, Lahu, Tai, Junti, Sanqing, and other great powers from the prehistoric times? But now that chaos has just begun, Pangu has not yet opened the sky, and presumably these powerful powers that will be famous for later generations have not yet begun to be born. Furukawa suddenly remembered this matter, and he couldn't help but feel a sense of urgency in his heart, because in future generations, there will really be golden immortals walking around. Quasi-sages are not as good as dogs. Only saints can shake. If you don't practice seriously and work hard to become stronger, I'm afraid the end will be extremely miserable. Just like a black turtle on the North Sea. It just sleeps peacefully in the North Sea, doing nothing and not fighting against the world, but Nuwa for Butian Tian killed it, took its limbs, and used them as pillars to hold up the heaven and the earth. It died a heroic death. It did nothing wrong, but it was killed just because it was weak. Kill it. Weakness is the original sin, and those who fall behind will be beaten. This is the truth of this world. The weak eats the strong, and the strong is respected. Although it seems to be a creature born at the beginning of chaos, it has a very high starting point, but the three creatures born from chaos, basically all the thousands of gods and demons died, including Pangu. None of them could survive to the world after the opening of the sky. If this continues, I am afraid that like the other 3,000 gods and demons, he will completely fall into chaos. Must become stronger. Furukawa's eyes flashed. This was not for any other reason. He just wanted to survive. He had died once in his last life, and he didn't want to die a second time in this life. But how to become stronger? I don't have any clue. To be honest, he was just an ordinary person in his previous life. How did he know how to practice and become stronger? In the future, it is already the end of the Dharma era. No one knows how to practice, let alone Furukawa, who is an ordinary person. By the way, Tao Te Ching. Suddenly, Furukawa once remembered that he seemed to have studied Laozi's Tao Te Ching. You must know that the Tao Te Ching is a work by the sage Lao Tzu, and it contains his understanding of the laws of heaven and earth and the avenue of the universe. At the same time, his Tao is the way of education, so he wrote all he had learned, understood, and thought into a scripture called the Tao Te Ching and spread it to every corner of the world. He was not afraid at all that anyone would learn his Tao Te Ching and surpass himself. As a saint, he has long transcended such a narrow realm. After all, everyone has 9 years of compulsory education. Why can some people be admitted to Tsinghua University and Peking University, while others can only graduate from junior high school? Sometimes even if the secret book is placed in front of you, if without talent, there is no way to learn, just like a blind man touching an elephant. Originally, he could not remember the content of the Tao Te Ching, but the soul has the ability to record all memories. Although he thought he had forgotten it, it had actually been recorded by the human soul. After he traveled through time and became a primitive ancient snake, he was able to mobilize all the memories of his soul, as if he could recall all the memories of his life, as if he had the ability to have a photographic memory. Even if he only read it once, the Tao Te Ching, the content, is still clearly present in his consciousness. Reading books on May Day is a great pleasure. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Grab a deposit now. Event time, April 29th to May 3rd. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 2. Road to Road. Very Avenue. Name, nameable, very famous. Nothing is called the beginning of heaven and earth. Being is called the mother of all things. Therefore, if there is always nothing, I want to observe its wonderfulness. If there is always something, I want to observe its beauty. The two have the same origin but different names, and they are both called Xian. Mysterious and mysterious, the door to all mysteries. In an instant, Furukawa recalled the words expounded at the beginning of the Tao Te Ching. This is the opening content of the Tao Te Ching, described by Lao Tzu. This is indeed a treasure book of sages' works. Just the opening content shows the sage Lao Tzu's views on Tao. Understand. Originally, Furukawa didn't understand this kind of content when he saw it, because he didn't have enough IQ when he was immortal. But now that he has traveled through time and been reborn as the first snake in the chaos, the primitive ancient snake, his intelligence has improved even more. How many times? No matter what, he is a god and demon born from chaos, and has received the protection of chaos. With such blood and such qualifications, even those famous qualifications in later generations cannot compare with him. So, just looking at this, he understood the content of the opening chapter in an instant. What is Tao? Tao has a very broad meaning. It refers to the way of human relations and common sense. It also refers to the great way of heaven and earth, the ultimate principle of the universe, the way of natural laws, and the foundation of all things in the world. The mother source lies in Tao. Starting from Tao, even gods and demons are no exception. So starting from Tao, then Tao gives birth to 1, 1 gives birth to 2, 2 gives birth to 3, and 3 gives birth to all things. But Tao is mysterious and mysterious. You can't see or hear. If you look at it, you can't hear it, you can't catch it. Because of this, if you want to understand Tao, you need to use virtue to regulate it, use virtue to describe it, observe it, and understand it. That's why Lao Tzu named this book Tao Te Ching. Tao and virtue are indispensable. Being virtuous is not virtuous, so it is virtuous. Being virtuous is not virtuous, so it is devoid of virtue. The superior virtue does nothing but does everything. The inferior virtue does it but thinks about it. The superior benevolence does it but does not think about it. The superior righteousness does it, but does it with thought. The superior virtue does it, but does not respond. Then throw it away. Therefore, if you lose morality, you will lose virtue. If you lose virtue, you will lose benevolence. If you lose benevolence, you will lose justice. If you lose justice, you will lose etiquette. Furukawa has been completely attracted by the content of the Tao Te Ching at this moment, and seems to have understood the method of cultivation of gods and demons. In fact, cultivation is to understand the great road of heaven and earth, and use the power of the great road to build the body of gods and demons.
Wow.
In an instant, with his body as the center, a huge vortex seemed to be formed, covering 1,000,000 kilometers in radius. Huge chaotic air currents surged towards his body from all directions. A vortex seemed to be forming inside his Dantian Qi, and it was madly devouring chaotic energy from all directions. And this vortex seems to have turned into a boundless sea, spinning, spinning, and spinning constantly, as if it has grown 1,000 times in a short period of time, and is even expanding infinitely. To be honest, these chaos the energy is many times more advanced than the prehistoric spiritual energy, immortal spiritual energy, and other energies in later generations. If a mortal can swallow a mouthful, he will immediately gain immortality. Of course, mortals are not strong enough. After they swallow it, the most likely thing is that their body will bear it. Failure to contain such energy will cause the body to explode and die. Only creatures born with the body of gods and demons can swallow chaotic energy so easily. Sometimes it is not the best to swallow the better energy. Everything has its own the principle that too much is too little. You need to do within your ability.
Boom, boom, tilde, tilde, tilde.
In an instant, Furukawa's original ancient snake body was nourished by these chaotic energies and was constantly strengthening and expanding, growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. 10,000 kilometers, 30,000 kilometers, 50,000 kilometers, 100,000 kilometers, and finally grew to 200,000 kilometers. Such a body is naturally very astonishing. In the previous life, the Earth's circumference was only 40,000 kilometers, but now Furukawa's body can wrap around the Earth 4 times, and it is so huge that it is terrifying. But this is still a small point in the chaos, just the beginning. Of course, not only his body has been strengthened and evolved, but his soul has also made great progress. Man follows the earth follows the sky, heaven follows the Tao, and the Tao follows nature. In an instant, Furukawa's soul was completely immersed in the chaos. His soul spread, and spread, and seemed to be completely integrated into the chaos. At this moment, he could sense the endless chaos laws and many avenues scattered in the chaos. Said to be honest, the sky has not yet opened, and we are in a world of chaos. Everything has not yet been standardized. All the laws of the universe and many avenues can be understood by gods and demons at will. It is like an exam, with answers to all of them beside it. The ease of cultivation is many times better than that of later generations. This is the best era of cultivation. And these chaotic air currents can not only nourish the body, but also increase the power of the soul. This is almost omnipotent energy, like the source of life that breeds all things. Only in this era can gods and demons devour chaotic energy so unscrupulously. If it were after Pengu opened the sky, I am afraid there would be no such benefits, and cultivation would become even more difficult. Furukawa discovered that these chaotic energies, after the airflow merged into his soul, it caused his soul to bloom with dark golden light, and the power of his soul was growing at a geometric rate. He felt that he seemed to be immersed in the process of comprehending the laws of the Great Road, and had reached the point where he had forgotten both things and me. In this state, it seems that I have forgotten time, space, and everything. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 3. Chaos has no idea how many years it has passed, maybe 1,000 years, 10,000 years, or even an era has passed, but chaos still has not changed at all, as if there is no difference from before, and it seems that it will continue like this forever. And in a place of chaos, a cyclone with a length of tens of millions of kilometers appeared, seemingly forming a huge eggshell, frantically devouring chaotic energy from all directions. It was as if this place had formed a terrifying vortex, spinning and continuing. The huge chaotic energy gathered together and also produced a qualitative change, condensing from gas to liquid. It seemed that there was an ocean of tens of millions of kilometers of chaotic liquid inside the eggshell.
Wow.
These chaotic liquids also rushed towards a giant snake in the center, penetrated into his body, entered every corner of his body, and nourished his soul. And this giant snake is undoubtedly the original ancient snake, Furukawa. At this moment, Furukawa finally broke free from the state of cultivation. He opened his eyes and immediately erupted with terrifying light, which seemed to penetrate time and space in all directions, and a powerful aura swept across the chaos. Cultivation is finally over. How long has it been? Furukawa opened his eyes. He found that he was so comfortable practicing this time. He was simply in a state of trance. He didn't know the passage of time in the outside world at all. It is estimated that at least hundreds of thousands of years have passed since he practiced this time. But practicing for so long is still worth it. Furukawa squinted his eyes. He could feel that his body was filled with terrifying power and had abundant strength. It can be said that Furukawa at this moment is many times more powerful than before. Originally, Furukawa's body was only 20,000 of kilometers, but after practicing in seclusion and devouring chaotic energy like crazy, his body has grown to 2 million kilometers, a full 10 times longer than before. This length is equivalent to circling the Earth 50 times. The huge snake body straddles the chaos, and it is simply an endless and majestic city wall. But his body is not just as simple as getting bigger. At the same time, dense dark golden scales also appear on his body, which seems to be filled with the energy of chaos. The energy seems to contain indestructible defense. Even if he encounters the terrifying torrent of chaos, it cannot harm his body at all. If he was only an infant before, then he has now grown into the state of a 3-year-old child, almost out of the most extreme state. Moment of weakness. The power of the soul also increases. Furukawa was very excited. He found that compared to the growth of body strength, the most important thing was the increase in soul power. Even the speed of progress was much too much compared to the strength of the body. The soul was originally in an atomized state, but at this moment it was already completely condensed and turned into a liquid shape, showing a dark golden color and exuding a noble, ancient, and chaotic atmosphere. In the depths of his sea of consciousness, the ghost shadow of the original ancient snake's soul also emerged. Thanks to his body with the huge soul energy, he found that he became more comfortable and more superb in controlling the body of the primitive ancient snake. It was as if he could use every bit of power in his body freely, without wasting any bit.
Boom.
In an instant, Furukawa waved the snake tail, stirring the chaos in an instant. It seemed to have produced a terrifying force, like a whip, blasting out the sound of an explosion. Originally, there was no sound in the chaos, but with this the wave of the snake produced a terrifying sound of air explosion. The sound shook the void, and the destructive power was extremely terrifying. Whoosh! As he swung his snake tail, his figure kept flashing in the chaos. He was extremely flexible and incredibly fast. It was as winding as lightning. In just a moment, he had glided tens of millions of kilometers, easily breaking through the chaotic airflow and arriving at another place. At this moment, he was like a fish in water, swimming through the chaos. Conceal the breath. Furukawa narrowed his eyes, and with a thought, he found that his soul aura and body aura were easily integrated into the chaos, blending into the void, silently. Even his body was in a state of virtualization. It can be said that this ability makes him an extremely terrifying killer god and demon in the chaos. If he is willing, it will be difficult for other gods and demons to discover the primitive ancient snake hidden in the chaos. And he can rely on this ability to hide in the chaos. Launch a fatal blow to the enemy. The snake's fangs also became sharper. Furukawa also found that his teeth had become sharper. They seemed to have been tempered into magic weapons. They were extremely sharp and extremely strong. There was even poison deep inside the teeth, showing a deep black color. The bite force of his teeth, it's extremely amazing. If he were willing, he might be able to bite a planet into pieces with one bite, swallow the entire planet into his stomach, devour it all, and take it for himself. The most important thing is that his teeth are extremely poisonous. Terror seems to be a primitive toxin which can not only target the body, but also the soul. If you are poisoned by this poison, I am afraid that even gods and demons will die. There is no cure at all. It is extremely poisonous and is simply terrifying. Kind of. At this moment, Furukawa's heart moved, and he immediately felt the terrifying aura of gods and demons coming from the distance. Feilu's 18th anniversary brand upgrade rewards readers. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP points. Grab a deposit now. Event time, August 10th to August 20th. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 4.
Ooh la la.
As soon as Furukawa's thoughts moved, his spiritual consciousness spread out, covering tens of millions of kilometers in a radius, covering the chaotic world in all directions, and gaining insight into this time and space. Since he understood the Tao Te Ching and understood the supreme principle that heaven follows earth follows heaven, and Tao follows nature, he naturally understood the supreme principle of using spiritual consciousness. The soul fluctuations in his body can blend into the void silently, penetrate chaos, and spread around easily. Any creature or insight that appears in the soul fluctuations will instantly appear in his sea of consciousness. This is like a mirror, transmitting and reflecting all information. Just after Furukawa used the method of divine consciousness, he suddenly discovered that tens of millions of kilometers away, there were terrifying gods and demons swimming towards his place, full of murderous intent. They looked like crocodiles. The body is extremely huge, with a diameter of at least hundreds of thousands of kilometers. Although it is not as huge as him, there are many of them, at least dozens or hundreds. From a distance, it looks like hundreds of planets are attacking, killing with awe-inspiring expression. He seemed to sense the aura on his body and regarded him as a delicious prey. What happened? Didn't it mean that when chaos first opened, there were only 3,000 gods and demons? How could I see so many gods and demons at once? Furukawa was a little surprised and didn't know what was going on. He felt that the chaotic world was really too big, vast and boundless, and it was still expanding. If only 3,000 gods and demons were born, he probably didn't know how long it would take to reach each other. Therefore, he thought that even if he wanted to encounter other gods and demons, it would probably be a long, long time later. But now he never expected that not so long ago, he would encounter such a large number of them. I encountered hundreds of gods and demons at random. Could it be that I won the jackpot? By the way, people in later generations may be wrong. When chaos first opened, there may not have been just 3,000 gods and demons at all, but billions of gods and demons, and countless gods were born. After all, the world of chaos is so big. How could it be possible? Just 3,000 gods and demons were born. Suddenly, Furukawa's eyes flashed with light, and his head flashed with inspiration. He felt that he should have understood the truth of history. The reason why only the names of 3,000 gods and demons appeared in later generations, but no information about other gods and demons, there must be a reason for this. The only reason is that all the other gods and demons are dead, and only these 3,000 gods and demons are still alive. This is like raising voodoos. There are countless voodoos in one place, and these voodoos are killing each other, devouring each other. In the end, all other goo insects died, and only the goo king could survive. The same reason, countless gods and demons were just born. In fact, even though they have infinite potential, when they were just born, their strength was extremely weak. If they want to strengthen, if you have the strength, you need to fight each other, devour the flesh and blood of each other's gods and demons, and enhance your own strength. After all, these gods and demons are born before their consciousness is clear. It is impossible for all of them to understand the method of cultivation like Furukawa. Their only the way to increase strength is to devour the same kind. The so-called 3,000 gods and demons are actually fighting each other among the billions of gods and demon cubs, killing all the other gods and demons, and finally growing into the strongest 3,000 gods and demons. Demons. They were not born at the beginning, but after cruel competition and bloody killings, they finally grew up, which is enough to shock the past and present, and to shock the entire history. Obviously, these crocodile-like creatures in front of us, the gods and demons, should have sensed the aura of gods and demons emanating from Furukawa, and out of instinct, they wanted to come and devour Furukawa. If they devour Furukawa, their strength would probably grow tremendously in an instant. Fighting, devouring, disorder, brutality, and bloodshed, this is the tone of the chaotic world. So that's it. Are these crocodile demons trying to kill me and devour me? At this moment, Furukawa has a clear understanding of the current situation. With the power of his powerful spiritual thoughts, he has completely understood the strength of these hundreds of crocodile demons. To be honest, these crocodile demons have just been born not long ago. At most, he has the same strength as a human immortal. But Furukawa understood the Tao Te Ching and learned the method of cultivation, which made his own strength greatly improved. At least he has been promoted to the realm of Earth Immortals. It can be said that he and the strength of the crocodile demons is at least a big difference. These crocodile demons are not his opponents at all and can be easily crushed. In fact, Furukawa also made a preliminary division of the strength of the chaotic world, that is, human immortals, Earth Immortal, Heavenly Immortal, Mysterious Immortal, Deluo Gene Immortal, Quasi-Saint, and Saint level. Of course, there are more divisions of strength realms above saints, but Furukawa is not clear about it at the moment. Furukawa at this moment is only at the Earth Immortal level. However, not long after the beginning of chaos, when no one had learned how to practice, his strength was definitely first-rate, surpassing most of the gods and demons. After all, Furukawa and other gods and demons had been together from the starting point. It's different. Interesting, since they want to kill me, then I don't need to be polite, just devour them completely. Furukawa's snake eyes revealed a frightening cold light. Whoosh! In an instant, his huge snake body swayed gently and disappeared into the void. He silently killed those gods and demons at an extremely fast speed. Incomparable. The primitive ancient snake.
Chapter 5.
Whoosh whoosh. At this moment, hundreds of crocodile demons were rushing towards Furukawa's location. They sensed the rich aura of gods and demons on Furukawa's body and thought it was a supreme delicacy. If they can completely devour Furukawa, then their strength will definitely increase by leaps and bounds. But at this moment, all the crocodile demons were a little confused at this moment because they found that they had lost Furukawa's whereabouts at this time, and they had no idea where Furukawa had gone. Obviously, the body of the god and demon is very huge, and it is impossible for them to disappear silently like this, but now they can no longer sense Furukawa's existence. For a moment, many crocodile demons looked at each other, not knowing what to do, because this was their first time encountering this kind of thing, and they didn't know how to deal with it. Whoosh! At this moment, near many crocodile demons, ripples appeared in the void, like ocean waves, and Furukawa's huge body suddenly appeared in front of these crocodile demons. Roar! Many crocodile demons were suddenly shocked. They didn't expect Furukawa to appear beside them so silently, and they couldn't even find it before. They were shocked and felt that the extremely suffocating, steel city wall-like body appeared before them. In front of me, there is an unparalleled pressure. Kill. In an instant, Furukawa took action. He seemed to be the most experienced hunter. This was the instinct of a primitive ancient snake, and it was also the powerful power from his blood. His huge snake tail swept across and broke through the sound barrier in an instant, stirred up the boundless, chaotic airflow, and the speed was so fast that these crocodile demons could not react. Such a snake tail was thrown out, like a magic whip, with unparalleled destructive power.
Boom.
Just one blow. Hundreds of crocodile demons couldn't react at all. They were hit hard by the snake's tail, and the extremely destructive power blasted them to death. Roar! The next second, Hundreds of crocodile demons didn't know what was happening, and they couldn't even fight back. Their bodies were shattered into a ball of minced meat in an instant, and they were just floating in the chaos. Drops of god demonic blood fills the void, exuding a charming fragrance. It seems that every mass of flesh and blood on it contains abundant flesh and blood energy, and has the effect of a supreme elixir. Well, just die like this?
So weak.
Furukawa blinked his round snake eyes, and his expression was strange. To be honest, he didn't expect that he could kill these crocodile monsters with one tail so easily. He originally thought that he would have to go through at least a hard fight, but now it seems that he still underestimates his own fighting power at this moment and looks down on other gods and demons. After all, these gods and demons have just been born and have self-awareness. They act purely by instinct, which is equivalent to primitive people. How can they be comparable to him, a god and demon who knows how to practice and has long had self-awareness and wisdom? His dealing with these crocodile demons is equivalent to modern people having guns to shoot primitive people. But I wonder what effect these gods and demon flesh and blood have. Furukawa moved his nose slightly and smelled the blood of gods and demons floating in the chaos. He immediately smelled a fragrance, as if it was the smell of a 10,000-year elixir. Suddenly, this fragrance caused the blood in his body to throb, arousing the instinct of the primitive ancient snake bloodline.
Boom.
The next second, he opened his bloody mouth and swallowed one of the crocodile demons in one bite. Furukawa's eyes widened immediately. He originally thought that eating the flesh and blood of these crocodile demons would be uncomfortable and he would feel the smell of blood. However, after he ate it, he didn't feel this way at all. It melted in his mouth and was still. It exuded bursts of fragrance, just like tuna that can be used as sashimi.
Gulu gulu.
Thinking of this, he also felt a drum-like sound coming from his stomach, like thunder, and he felt extremely hungry, which made him even more hungry. He couldn't wait.
Click, click.
The next second, Furukawa simply devoured each crocodile demon into his stomach. In just half an hour, all the flesh and blood of hundreds of crocodile demons fell into his stomach. There was no trace left in his belly. Fortunately, his body was extremely huge, otherwise it would have taken even more time to swallow these huge crocodile demons. This feeling. Furukawa soon felt that a dark golden furnace seemed to emerge from his stomach, as if it were his own stomach. When these crocodile demon flesh and blood fell into his stomach, the dark golden furnace began to burn, refining these crazily. The flesh and blood of the crocodile demon devoured the divine and demonic energy inside. Rumble. At this moment, his body shook, and he immediately felt the huge amount of divine and demonic energy pouring out from deep within his body, as if it was free of charge. All the limbs and bones were pouring into every corner of his body. He found that his whole body was warm, as if he was soaking in a hot spring, very comfortable, and every cell in his body was greedily devouring these gods and demons' energy. So comfortable. Furukawa couldn't help shouting. The benefits of these gods and demons' energy were really great for him. He felt that his body was constantly growing crazily. At the same time, his soul was also greatly nourished. The soul power is also increasing crazily, at a speed visible to the naked eye. Reading books on May Day will be great. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Grab a deposit now. Event time, April 29th to May 3rd. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 6. 7 days and 7 nights passed in the blink of an eye. At this time, Furukawa had completely devoured the energy of gods and demons in the bodies of hundreds of crocodile demons and took the original energy in their bodies as his own. At this moment, the body of his original ancient snake also grew again, expanding to a length of 4 million kilometers, twice as long as before. At the same time, his soul power was more than twice as powerful as before. The soul in the depths of the sea of consciousness was almost condensed into substance, reaching the point where the entire body was liquefied. It can be said that the benefits gained from devouring the flesh and blood essence of hundreds of crocodile demons this time are simply greater than those he had practiced in seclusion for hundreds of thousands of years. At this time, his cultivation level has almost reached the peak of the earthly immortal realm. He is only one step away from reaching the supreme realm of the heavenly immortal realm, taking his cultivation level to the next level. However, the flesh and blood of gods and demons seems to contain not only majestic energy, but also many fragments of laws. After Furukawa devoured the flesh and blood essence of these crocodile demons, he found that he not only obtained all the energy of the flesh and blood essence of the opponent, but also obtained many law fragments from these crocodile demons. These law fragments were integrated into in their flesh and blood. Now being swallowed by Furukawa, they can naturally devour and fuse these law fragments. To be honest, originally comprehending the laws of heaven and earth requires practitioners to practice for many years so that they can comprehend the complete laws of heaven and earth and integrate them into the body. But now, as long as these gods and demons are killed, a large number of law fragments can be obtained immediately. This saves an unknown amount of time in understanding the laws of heaven and earth and improves an unknown amount of efficiency. Therefore, only when the cultivation of these gods and demons increases so fast. Is this the power of law? Furukawa narrowed his eyes. He felt that he had killed many crocodile demons this time and obtained many law fragments from them, such as the law of wind, the law of water, the law of fire, the law of mist, and the law of killing, the law of earth, the law of light, the law of darkness, etc. Originally, he needed a lot of time to comprehend chaos before he could wait for the information about these laws, but now that he has killed these gods and demons and devoured their flesh and blood, he has completely absorbed the information about these laws. Take it as your own. It seems that killing gods and demons and devouring the flesh and blood of gods and demons is the way to quickly increase the power of gods and demons. Furukawa's eyes showed a glimmer of light. He also understood why gods and demons like to kill each other, because as long as they kill each other, they can swallow up all the power of the other party and save countless training time and efforts. How can those gods and demons do this? Give up this kind of thing. And even if you don't kill, other gods and demons will kill. Then those gods and demons who kill a large number of gods and demons will grow extremely fast and can become the strongest in a short time. If we encounter such high-level gods and demons at that time, I am afraid that we can only kill them at the first glance. This kind of thing can only force the gods and demons to kill and force the gods and demons to evolve quickly. However, such a training method also has disadvantages. That is, if the cultivation speed is too fast, the control of power will be imperfect, the combat power will be weak, and the person will become a god and demon who can only use brute force. He still needs to practice to truly become stronger. Furukawa narrowed his eyes. In fact, it has been proved in the future that Pengu was also a god and demon born from chaos, but his strength was terrifying and boundless, far surpassing the other 3,000 gods and demons. When he opened the sky, he alone could kill all the other 3,000 gods and demons without leaving a single piece of armor behind. This kind of strength is simply to dominate the world and control chaos. Why Pengu's strength far exceeds the other 3,000 gods and demons. This is because of Pengu's body. There is an accompanying magic weapon, the Jade Disc of Creation, which contains the secrets of the 3,000 avenues. Because of this, Pengu was born to understand the method of cultivation and was much more powerful than the other 3,000 gods and demons who only knew how to kill. Even if the strength is the same, but the skills are not enough, the combat effectiveness is also very different. It can be said to be a world of difference. A companion magic weapon? Why does Pengu have it but I don't? Furukawa is a little depressed. To be honest, Pengu is simply a god and demon blessed by nature. He was born with the 36th grade Chaos Green Lotus when he was born. This magic weapon has unparalleled defense. It integrates offense and defense. No one can break it. There is also good fortune in cultivating magic weapons. The Jade Disc contains 3,000 avenues recorded in it. The magic weapons used for attacking also include the God's Axe and the Earth-Opening Chisel. These two magic weapons are unparalleled in killing and are specially used to open the sky. They are infinitely powerful and can kill gods and demons with their heads rolling. If anyone can say who is the best, if he is the illegitimate son of chaos, there is no doubt that Pengu is the one. The other 3,000 gods and demons have no way to compare with Pengu. Forget it, if you don't have a magic weapon, then go look for it. I don't believe that I can't find a magic weapon that suits me after spending countless years. Furukawa clenched his fists. This is the beginning of chaos. Countless magic weapons are ownerless and scattered everywhere in chaos. If he searches carefully, he will definitely find one or two chaos magic weapons. And there are gods and demons with magic weapons. Gods and demons without magic weapons are completely different, and their combat effectiveness is completely different. It can be said that gods and demons without magic weapons are just rookies, the kind that can be bullied by others. Once you have a magic weapon, whether it is defense or attack or assistance, can definitely greatly enhance the power of gods and demons. You can imagine how precious it is. Reading books on May Day will be a great pleasure. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP points. Grab a deposit now. Event time, April 29th to May 3rd. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 7. Wait, what is that? Just when Furukawa wanted to leave this place, his spiritual consciousness spread around, and he instantly sensed a chaotic void hundreds of thousands of miles away, producing waves of weak fluctuations. If it weren't for his extremely sharp spiritual consciousness, he would have been integrated into the void. He could easily sense the fluctuations in the surrounding void, which he probably couldn't even detect. Whoosh! In an instant, his figure flashed, and his huge body snaked away, as fast as lightning, breaking through the chaotic airflow. In one fell swoop, he arrived at the place where his consciousness had just sensed. What's this? Furukawa's eyes widened. He immediately saw a fist-sized chaotic airflow in front of him. It was constantly rotating and seemed to be wrapping a strange object. It exuded a mysterious aura and unique law fluctuations. Of course, this chaotic airflow was different. Compared with his body of 4 million kilometers, it is too small. If we use human metaphors, it is equivalent to a grain of dust. If it were not for divine perception, he would not have been able to detect it.
Boom.
Furukawa's thoughts moved, stimulated the chaotic airflow, bombarded the chaotic sphere, instantly defeated the outer layer of chaotic airflow, and suddenly appeared a round object, which seemed to be a golden compass with a red pointer on it. At this moment, the pointer keeps spinning and buzzing. What on earth is this? Furukawa took the golden compass over at once and looked at it carefully. He could feel that the golden compass exuded an extremely mysterious atmosphere and was filled with unique laws of the universe. He could feel that the golden compass was extraordinary, but he did not something. But this is a matter of course. Everything born from chaos at this moment, whether it is life or magic weapon, is definitely a first-class good thing. If it is a magic weapon, it can be refined. So, how can a magic weapon be refined? Furukawa blinked his eyes. Suddenly, from the depths of his consciousness, some information from the depths of his bloodline poured out, causing indescribable bloodline fluctuations. He understood instantly that he could refine this mysterious magic weapon is not the legendary divine consciousness refining treasure, nor is it the essence and blood refining treasure, but the unique treasure refining method of the original ancient snake, the venom refining treasure. You must know that he is in the midst of chaos. The first snake is extremely special. From his body can be born the first poison of chaos, the original venom. This kind of venom is extremely terrible and can easily poison gods and demons. But the poison is only one of its characteristics. The most important characteristic is erosion. If such primitive venom drips on any creature or any magic weapon, it will corrode the opponent, easily assimilating the enemy. And if it falls on the magic weapon, it can easily destroy it. Refining the magic weapon, taking it as your own, creating a mental connection. I see. Thinking of this, Furukawa acted immediately. He used the power of blood in his body to force out a drop of primitive venom from deep inside his body, and it dripped on the golden compass in an instant. Don't look at it as just a drop of primitive venom. But this is one drop compared to the original ancient snake. You can imagine how huge this drop of original venom is. Just one drop is like a meteorite with a diameter of tens or hundreds of kilometers.
Boom.
This drop of black original venom dripped instantly. On the golden compass, the original venom seemed to have its own consciousness. It squirmed in an instant and submerged into the golden compass. Although this drop of black original venom seemed very big, this golden compass should not be underestimated. It is greedy. Absorbing the original venom, he swallowed it completely in just a few breaths.
Boom tilde tilde.
The next second, Furukawa felt that his sea of consciousness seemed to explode, and the original venom he forced out instantly destroyed. This golden compass was completely refined, and this magic weapon was forcibly assimilated and made into his own. Wish compass. With a bang, Furukawa immediately obtained specific information about this golden compass from deep within the magic weapon. It turned out that this was a chaos magic weapon, a treasure bred from chaos, and its name was the Wish Compass. And this, as the name suggests, a magic weapon is a treasure that guides the direction. As long as the host thinks in his heart, then this magic weapon can guide the direction for the host and realize all the wishes of the host. For example, the host wants to find someone, even if the person hides in the ends of the earth. Hiding at the end of the universe, the Wish Compass will find it. For example, if the host wants to find a certain treasure, then no matter how dangerous the treasure is hidden, the Wish Compass can guide the host in the right direction. Even if the host falls into a life or death crisis, the Wish Compass can also guide the host to find the only way to survive. This is the power of the chaos magic weapon, the Wish Compass, which can realize all the wishes of the host and guide the host to the right path. So amazing! After receiving this information, Furukawa was immediately amazed, his blood boiled, and he was extremely excited. He did not expect that he was so lucky to find the Wish Compass here. Although this magic weapon has almost never appeared in later generations, hidden in the long river of history, but the abilities and magical powers within it are self-evident. Perhaps the power of obtaining this magic weapon has never been made public, so it has not been discovered by any saint. Or maybe it was discovered in Pangu in the sky. This chaos magic weapon was destroyed. But in any case, its ability is no less than Panga's Chaos Green Lotus, Pangu Axe, and other chaos magic weapons, and it is even rarer and more powerful to a certain extent. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 8. Great! With this magic weapon, wouldn't I be able to find all the treasures in chaos? Furukawa was very excited. Originally, he thought it was unrealistic to find a large number of magic weapons in chaos. After all, the world of chaos is so big that it can be said to be vast and boundless. Even if he goes through countless epics at his speed, it is impossible to search all over chaos, and it is impossible to find all the chaos magic weapons, but it is different after getting the Wish Compass. With this magic weapon, he can use the Wish Compass to find each chaos magic weapon. I don't know how much effort and time it can save. I want to find Pangu. Thinking of this, Furukawa's heart moved. He poured his thoughts into the Wish Compass, but the next second he immediately felt heart palpitations deep in his heart. The blood, mana, and soul energy in his body seemed to be affected by this wish. The compass is swallowing. It seems that in just a few breaths, the Wish Compass can swallow up all his essence and blood. Damn it! Stop it now! Furukawa's face changed drastically, and he immediately forcibly terminated the ability of the Wish Compass. But even so, his body collapsed in waves, and less than half of his blood essence and blood were lost. You must know that he just killed hundreds of crocodile demons with one tail. He did not consume such a large amount of energy, but now just one breath caused him to be so severely injured. It can be imagined that the danger of this Wish Compass is simply a magic weapon. I see. This Wish Compass cannot be used casually. Furukawa narrowed his eyes. He sensed the message coming from the Wish Compass. Although the wish compass claims to be able to fulfill all the wishes of the host, it is just an ideal. Because activating the power of the wish compass requires the host itself to provide a huge amount of energy, the power of blood, and depending on the size of the wish, the amount of blood essence that needs to be swallowed varies. For example, if he wanted to find Pengu just now, then this wish would be boundless. After all, Pengu is the #1 god and demon in the chaos, and he is born with it. With the Jade Disc of Creation, the Green Lotus of Chaos, the Pengu Axe, and other chaos magic weapons, the cause and effect involved can be imagined. If you want to find the other party in the boundless chaos, the power of essence and blood required may not even drain Furukawa dry at this moment. Enough to be swallowed by the wish compass. Of course, this actually has a lot to do with strength. If Furukawa's strength goes further and reaches the realm of the strongest god and demon, then using the wish compass to find Pengu will not be a big problem. All I can say is he is too weak now and cannot withstand too much power of desire. It seems you can only start with a small wish. Thinking of this, Furukawa suddenly calmed down. In fact, he just had an idea just now. He didn't want to see Pengu, and even if he saw Pengu at this moment, it would have no meaning. On the contrary, if he saw Pengu, he might be attracted by Pengu. Killed with one axe. After all, we are all gods and demons born in chaos. Who knows whether they are enemies or friends? Wish compass, please guide me to find the best treasure nearby. Furukawa circulated the power of essence and blood in his body and immediately instilled it into the wish compass.
Boom, ..
In an instant, the wish compass vibrated slightly, producing a terrifying devouring power, swallowing up 1/10 of Furukawa's blood essence in an instant. Obviously, this wish was still within his tolerance, and it was not too big. But Furukawa still felt a shock of weakness, as if he were donating blood. Buzz. Immediately, the red pointer of the wish compass kept rotating and buzzing, and finally it stayed in the northeast direction. At the same time, a huge flow of information flowed into the depths of his consciousness. To the northeast, 135.95 million kilometers away, a magic weapon is being born. Furukawa felt this information and immediately smiled. It seems that this magic weapon is still very useful. It saves him a lot of time in searching for treasures. With this wish compass in hand, he can get many chaos treasures at his fingertips. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. In the past 3 days, Furukawa has been staying in place, running the Tao Te Ching cultivation method, swallowing the chaotic energy from all directions, and integrating it into his body. After these few days, he finally made up for all the depleted essence and blood in his body, and his energy and spirit reached their optimal state, and even improved to a higher level. To be honest, after he got the news about the treasure, he wanted to leave immediately. But after thinking about it, Furukawa felt that there were still too many unsafe factors in the chaos. If he started in a weak state, he didn't know what accidents he would encounter. If he encounters a large number of gods and demons in that treasure land and is besieged, he may not be able to defeat them with his weak body. So he decided to restore his body to its best condition before setting off. Because of this, he postponed his departure for 3 days. Set off. Furukawa was extremely excited. He was still worried about his safety in the chaotic world before. After all, there are too many gods and demons in the chaotic world, and all kinds of weird abilities emerge in an endless stream. Even if the gods and demons are more powerful, if they are careless, they will probably be killed by others. Gods and demons killed him. But after refining the Chaos Orb and obtaining the bloodline magical power Chaos Barrier, he could simply walk sideways in the chaotic world and be immune to most attacks. Even if he encountered a secret attack, he would not be affected by it. Any harm. It can be said that this is the power of the chaos magic weapon, which can bring great benefits to the gods and demons. But the Chaos Orb's ability seems to be more than just that. Furukawa also discovered that he not only possessed the power of the Chaos Barrier, but also seemed to possess the supreme power of the Chaos Bead to suppress chaos, giving birth to the Chaos Realm. As long as he activated the power of his blood, Using his body as in the center, a radius of hundreds of millions of kilometers will be completely enveloped by the chaos realm in an instant, penetrating time and space in all directions. All creatures staying in the chaos realm will have their strength completely suppressed, making their movements extremely slow, as if they are trapped in a mud swamp. If they are not strong enough, if he did, he would be suppressed directly, and he would be unable to move.
Boom tilde tilde.
In an instant, with a thought, with his body as the center, a huge chaotic field spread out in an instant, covering time and space in all directions. It seems that in an instant, time and space with a radius of hundreds of millions of kilometers came to a standstill, as if the chaotic air currents could not flow at this moment. All energy was almost condensed into substance, imprisoning everything. This ability is too strong. Furukawa was filled with emotion. His chaos domain imprisoned everything. If the enemy wanted to escape, it would be impossible. He could slow down the enemy in an instant. Of course, if he wanted to escape, the chaos domain could also limit the enemy's speed. Coupled with the speed of the primitive ancient snake itself, 1 plus and 1 minus, it is estimated that few gods and demons can catch up with him. Fighting or escaping is all in his mind. It can be said that he is in an invincible position.
Got it.
Chaotic space. Of course, what makes Furukawa even more excited is that the chaos speed is at the deepest part of his sea of consciousness at this moment. A void space has been born inside the chaos speed at this moment, and the area of this void space is huge. If I have to use metaphor, I'm afraid it can at least be compared to the area of the Milky Way in the previous life, which is simply vast. However, this is not actually the space where the chaos orb was finally formed. It is just the beginning. In fact, the chaos orb at this moment was only born not long ago. Therefore, its power has not reached its peak. I am afraid that it can only be regarded as an infant at this moment and is still growing. If the chaos pearl is at its peak at this moment, I am afraid that Furukawa's current strength will not be able to refine it. Fortunately, Furukawa got the chaos orb at this moment, successfully refined it, and grew together with it. I don't know how much effort this saved in the future. It can be said to be great luck. This chaotic space is still too desolate. Furukawa could not help but sigh when he sensed the space in the chaos speed. He suddenly felt a desolate atmosphere. Everywhere was filled with dead silence, without any life, and felt a sense of loneliness. At this moment, he also understood a little bit why Panga chose to open the door. God, because the chaotic world is too desolate, no matter how long it has been, it is still chaos, the same, and life is lonely. If possible, he also wants to open up a pure land in the chaotic space and create a world of his own. It would be great if we could find some Xianxia loam, and we could probably build a land. Furukawa touched his chin and had this thought. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 12. While Furukawa was still thinking about his next move, he suddenly sensed waves of murderous intent appearing all around him, and his consciousness began to merge into the chaotic void, sensing his surroundings. Suddenly, he sensed that hundreds or even thousands of people appeared not far away. They look like sharks and have bodies that are hundreds of thousands or even millions of kilometers long. At the same time, they have sharp teeth, are all black, and are covered in scales. They are like killer monsters born in the darkness. Chilling. Has the chaotic vortex around him disappeared? Soon Furukawa discovered that the chaotic airflow that originally surrounded his body had long since disappeared and returned to its previous calmness. In fact, this was a matter of course. After all, this huge chaotic airflow itself was caused by the chaos speed. Now the chaos after the bead was refined by him, the chaotic phenomenon naturally disappeared, and the aura of gods and demons on his body naturally spread out, attracting gods and demons from all directions to arrive. They were obviously like sharks smelling the smell of blood. All swarmed in, filled with terrible murderous aura. Roar! In an instant, hundreds of shark demons didn't talk to Furukawa at all. Their figures flashed, cut through the chaotic airflow, and rushed towards Furukawa. Obviously, these shark demons are stronger than the crocodile demons they encountered before. Several times more. After all, so many years have passed. These gods and demons have been fighting each other, and more powerful gods and demons have been born. And these crocodile demons are the best among them. In terms of strength, these crocodile demons are at least with the strength of an earth immortal. It is a pity that Furukawa at this moment cannot compare with Furukawa from 100 years ago. Not to mention that he has refined the chaos speed, and his strength has not only increased tenfold, it is a fact even he himself doesn't know how powerful he is. I'm afraid that even ordinary gods and demons at the level of gods can't compare with him. The realm of chaos. In an instant, Furukawa's thoughts moved and activated the power of the chaos speed. Suddenly, with his body as the center, a radius of hundreds of millions of kilometers was completely enveloped by the chaos realm. Within the scope of this chaos realm, it seemed that all objects, life, even chaotic airflow, seem to have stopped at this moment and are completely imprisoned. Roar! Suddenly, these shark demons panicked, and their pupils showed panic, because they had never encountered such a situation before. It was simply unheard of. They had encountered gods and demons before, even if they were more powerful than them, but they could swarm them, easily kill the powerful gods and demons, dismember the body with 5 horses, and devour the flesh and blood. They are also used to fighting in groups, and they are always invincible. After all, the chaotic world at this moment is still relatively primitive, and they are basically bloody fights, with bare hands, and rarely have magical powers. The battle between them is like a primitive war. But they are gods and demons. Even if it is a primitive battle, if they fight, the power that bursts out cannot be compared with ordinary immortals. Therefore, these shark demons met Furukawa. The released chaotic realm immediately imprisoned their bodies and even their power, causing them to panic immediately, and they had no idea what was going on. However, Furukawa would not explain anything to these shark demons. In this case, in the wild and primitive world, there is only the law of the jungle, and explaining too much is just a waste of the world, and the other person may not be able to understand it based on his or her IQ.
Whoosh!
In an instant, Furukawa's huge primitive ancient snake's body moved, and the snake tail on his body swung in an instant, blasting towards these shark demons. You must know that Furukawa's body at this moment is already 50 million kilometers long. Such a body is far beyond what these shark demons can imagine. It is so huge that it is scary.
Dead man.
And even with such a huge snake body, his flexibility and speed are the top among gods and demons. Such a huge body and such fast speed represent absolute power. It is like thousands of tons of meteorites if it hits the Earth at supersonic speed. Such power can destroy tens of thousands of kilometers of the Earth in an instant. So not to mention the power that Furukawa explodes at this moment is simply sensational. In just an instant, the snake tail turns into chaotic airflow, invisible and invisible, blasting down at these shark demons. Due to the confinement of the chaos realm, even if these shark demons sensed great danger, they could not make any evasive movements and could only watch Furukawa helplessly. The tail of the snake attacked.
Boom!
Just this blow, the power of it was like shattering the vacuum, as if the void was exploded, creating a huge mushroom cloud with a radius of hundreds of millions of kilometers, and there was an earth-shattering explosion.
Boom tilde tilde.
At this moment, the huge bodies of these thousands of vicious shark demons running rampant in the chaos were shattered into pieces in an instant and turned into a ball of minced meat. With the bodies of these shark demons, there is simply no way to withstand this kind of power. Dead again. Furukawa was a little depressed. He originally wanted to fight these shark monsters for 300 rounds, but he didn't expect that before he even started to warm up, he actually killed thousands of shark monsters with one tail shot. To be honest, this was just a matter of seconds. It's not even a warm-up. At most, it's just a breather. It's great to read books on May Day. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Grab a deposit now. Event time, April 29th to May 3rd. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 13. I should be considered a bit stronger now. Furukawa feels that he seems to be a little lonely as snow. If ordinary gods and demons meet him, they may not be able to resist his tail, and will be beaten into dust in an instant. Even if he does not use the power of the chaos bead, he is purely relying on the brute force of his primitive ancient snake body. He can beat countless ordinary gods and demons to death. The power in him now is so powerful that even he is a little scared. Click, click, click. But Furukawa only sighed a little. After a moment, he opened his mouth wide, like a whale swallowing food, creating a huge attraction. In an instant, he swallowed all the flesh and blood of gods and demons produced by thousands of shark demons into his stomach. To be honest, these flesh and blood of gods and demons were swallowed into his stomach. The aroma emanating from it had already made him move his index finger, and he couldn't hold it any longer. Moreover, the flesh and blood of these gods and demons were not as bloody as the flesh and blood of ordinary beasts, but were extremely delicious, with the texture of meat like tuna or Australian lobster has a sweet and delicious taste. So even if it is not eaten on a barbecue but is eaten raw, there is no problem if it is eaten as sashimi. It tastes really good. Furukawa ate the flesh and blood of these shark demons as if he was eating shark fins, with a very satisfied expression. To be honest, this is indeed a rare delicacy in the world. Although there is a lot of flesh and blood on the bodies of thousands of shark demons, it is not enough. With its huge body of 50 million kilometers, Sumi Furukawa has no idea how much he can swallow. Moreover, the flesh and blood of gods and demons on these shark demons also contain abundant energy. Not only do they have the unique divinity and original energy of gods and demons, there are also fragments of the laws of the universe contained in their bodies.
Boom, boom, tilde, tilde, tilde.
After Furukawa devoured the flesh and blood of thousands of shark demons, his stomach quickly completely refined the flesh and blood of these shark demons and then transformed them into huge divine and demonic energy. Immediately, as if it was free of charge, these divine and demonic energies were quickly infused into every corner of his body, being swallowed and absorbed by every cell in his body. At the same time, these energies are not only strengthening the body, but also strengthening his soul. Comfortable. Furukawa couldn't help shouting. He felt the flesh and blood energy of refining these shark demons and absorbing the energy of these gods and demons. His whole body was warm, as if he was soaking in a hot spring. He discovered that his original ancient snake, his body was growing, strengthening, and getting bigger at a speed visible to the naked eye, and at the same time his mana was also increasing crazily. When he finished devouring the flesh and blood energy of these shark demons, his cultivation seemed to have been promoted to he is only one step away from the peak of the celestial immortal realm, and may be able to break through to the mysterious immortal realm. In addition, the body of his primitive ancient snake has also been further enhanced, growing from 50 million kilometers to 100 million kilometers in length, which is enough has grown twice as much. Sure enough, I still hunted gods and demons and devoured the flesh and blood of gods and demons to grow faster. Just by devouring thousands of shark demons, it actually more than doubled my strength. Furukawa was immediately amazed and couldn't believe his eyes. To be honest, those immortals in later generations will have bottlenecks in every realm they reach. If they want to break through the bottleneck, they don't know how long it will take and how many opportunities it will take. But gods and demons are different. There is basically no bottleneck before they are promoted to the realm of saints. Every god and demon can naturally be promoted to the realm of quasi-sage. As long as you have enough cultivation, you will naturally get it.
Promotion.
This is the terrifying talent of gods and demons, the kind that makes no sense. However, my primitive ancient snake body also seems unusual, as if it is growing without restriction. Furukawa is also very curious about how incredible his body is. The bodies of ordinary gods and demons actually have limits. When they grow to a certain level, they will not continue to grow and will be fixed at this value. Just like in the previous life. Like other human beings, they can only grow to more than 2 meters at most, and there are basically no humans who can grow to 3 meters. In fact, this is the limitation of mortal height and genes. However, his body, a primitive ancient snake, seems to have no limit. His cultivation continues to increase, and his body continues to expand. There seems to be no limit. Maybe it is not without limit, but for now it is far from reaching the limit. He feels that the length of 100 million kilometers is not the original ancient snake. The limit is just the beginning. Wait, what does this feel like? At this moment, when Furukawa's soul and body's strength reached a certain level, his consciousness merged into the void, and he felt waves of void fluctuations in an instant. It seemed that at this moment, he felt waves of waves coming from the depths of chaos. The extremely huge message, like a sea, crazily poured into the depths of his consciousness. This flow of information was so powerful that if he were still an ordinary person, I am afraid that his whole head would be exploded in an instant, his body would explode, and he would die. The kind of whole corpse. Only the body of gods and demons at this moment can withstand such a huge message. Is this divine writing, the language of gods and demons? Furukawa's eyes showed a glint, and his inner thoughts were simply overwhelming. To be honest, he originally thought that there were no words or languages in the chaos. But now he guessed wrong. In fact, there are words and languages in the chaos, and it's still the language of gods and demons, but only when one's cultivation reaches a certain level can it be inherited from chaos. Reading books on May Day will be great. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Grab a deposit now. Event time, April 29th to May 3rd. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 14. Is this the language of gods and demons? Furukawa sensed the message from the depths of his consciousness. This was not the text he had imagined before. It was not Chinese characters, not English, and it was not some oracle bone inscriptions. Instead, it was strange and mysterious chaos runes. And these chaos runes, there are a total of 129,600, which is consistent with the number of 1 yuan. Each rune contains 1.08 million mysteries. Even these runes can be arranged and combined with each other. Different arrangements and combinations will they represent different meanings. It can be said that the combination of these runes contains countless mysteries. They represent the most primitive power in chaos and illustrate the mystery of the laws of the universe. If you can completely learn these runes, then you can understand the power of various laws of the universe. There is no doubt that this is the language and writing of gods and demons. Furukawa was amazed. In fact, he had heard before that the chaos gods and demons had their own words and languages, which were completely different from mortals. The words of later generations were only invented by humans themselves, representing humans' observation and description of the world. But the chaos gods and demons also have their own words and languages, and they are even more unfathomable and mysterious. It is impossible for a mortal to learn them. He didn't understand it before, and thought there was something so special about the words of the gods and demons.
Why?
He couldn't learn it, but after getting these divine runes, he finally understood why it was impossible for mortals to learn the language and writing of gods. Because there were a total of 129,600 chaos runes. Each one chaos runes have 1.08 million mysteries, and they can be arranged and combined with each other. How can a mortal memorize all these divine runes? And how can an ordinary person remember all the mysteries represented by these divine runes? There is simply no way to remember it. I am afraid that even the immortals in later generations will have difficulty learning the words and languages of the demon. Even if this information is placed in front of mortals, there is nothing they can do, just like a blind man touching an elephant. Only those who are like gods and demons can do anything. Creatures with extremely high qualifications and naturally powerful brains are qualified to learn the words and languages of gods. There are only a handful of such people in future generations. Every birth can be called a goddess and a son of God. In future generations, Wai Laozi can become the strongest saint among the 3 pure ones. The first of the saints, second only to Hongjun, is because of his teaching method. He can transform the words and languages of gods and demons into mortals. The words and languages that can be understood allow mortals to gain the ability to advance to immortality. The power of such education can be imagined. It is not an exaggeration to say that he is the master of the world. Without Laozi, I am afraid that the human race would not be able to rise at all, become the protagonist of the world in future generations. The writing of this god and demon is not simple. Furukawa found that the information he received from these gods and demons' words was very unusual. The words created by mortals were only used to describe the world and record history. But these gods and demons' words represented the infinite mysteries of the universe. Every word and every rune represents a unique power of heaven and earth, as well as the laws of the universe. For example, if the word fire in the words of gods and demons is written, it means that you can really control the flame, and the deeper you understand it, then you can display the more terrifying power of fire. It can be said that among gods and demons, if you do not understand the divine script and language, then you are a low-level creature, which means that you are not mainstream and have not evolved completely at all. But once you master it, then it means mastering the power of the laws of the universe, which is infinitely powerful and invincible. By the way, I wonder what would happen if the Tao Te Ching was spoken in divine language? Suddenly, Furukawa thought of this. Since I am a saint, it is impossible for him not to understand the language of gods and demons. If the Tao Te Ching is run in the language of gods and demons, I am afraid there will be different effects. Road to road, very avenue. Name, nameable, very famous. Nothing is called the beginning of heaven and earth. Being is called the mother of all things. Therefore, if there is always nothing, I want to observe its wonderfulness. If there is always something, I want to observe its beauty. The two have the same origin but different names, and they are both called Xian. Mysterious and mysterious, the door to all mysteries. In an instant, the voice of the Tao Te Ching rang out from the depths of Furukawa's sea of consciousness. With his body as the center, mysterious ripples were produced, which seemed to cause chaos. At this moment, everything happened for billions of kilometers in a radius. Earth-shaking changes, the extremely huge chaotic airflow seemed to form a huge whirlpool. Vaguely, an ancient bronze door emerged from the depths of the void, with dense chaos runes engraved on it. There is no doubt that this is the door to all wonders. This ancient bronze door opened, and a huge amount of chaotic energy poured out from deep inside, like the Milky Way falling from the sky, as if it was free of charge, crazily instilled into Furukawa's body. This gave Furukawa an extremely abundant amount of chaotic energy. The cultivation efficiency is more than dozens of times stronger than before. If it could be said that it was an old ox pulling a cart before, then now it is like being on a plane. The speed and efficiency are simply not comparable to the previous cultivation efficiency. But the accelerated speed of devouring chaotic energy is only one of the effects. The most important thing is the huge chaos runes pouring down from the ancient bronze door. There are thousands of these chaos runes, shining like stars, and they have also integrated into Furukawa. In his primitive snake body, it seems that countless chaos runes have been integrated into his body. Vaguely, his huge primitive ancient snake body seems to cover a supreme scripture. Reading books on May Day is a great pleasure. Deposit 100 and get 500 VIP points for free. Grab a deposit now. Activity time, April 29th to May 3rd. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 15. As expected, using the language and words of gods and demons to describe the Tao Te Ching is the correct way to practice. No wonder almost no one in the previous life could learn the Tao Te Ching, and no one could gain any spiritual benefit from it. The benefits of. At this moment, Furukawa suddenly realized. If you use mortal words to describe the Tao Te Ching, it is actually just an ordinary article. Even though every word in it contains subtle meanings, it is extremely profound. But if you use the words of gods and demons to record and describe, then this is a truly supreme cultivation method. Every word is in line with the great way of heaven and earth and the supreme principle of chaos. What it contains is Lao Tzu's understanding of the laws of the universe and the great way of heaven and earth. Almost this scripture has already having understood the laws of the universe, he stands at an absolute height. Therefore, when Furukawa was reciting the Tao Te Ching just now, he said it word for word. Every word of gods and demons resonated with the laws of the universe and the chaos. I'm afraid it's not just the Tao Te Ching, but also the Nanhua Immortal Sutra and even the 18,000 volumes of Buddhist scriptures and the Christian creation book. I'm afraid their initial contents were all recorded in the words of gods and demons, not in the language of gods and demons. Mortal words. So, in the prehistoric era, this was the real method of cultivation and represented the supreme avenue. Furukawa feels that he may have guessed the truth of the matter. No wonder the immortals don't mind releasing these cultivation methods, because these contents are impossible for mortals to cultivate. This is the cultivation method of the immortals. And if you want to practice, if you want to do this, you must understand the words and languages of gods and demons. If you cannot understand it, then you may not even be able to get through the threshold. In fact, in later generations, some saints pay attention to the qualifications of their disciples, and there is nothing they can do about it. After all, if you have a dull aptitude, you can't even recognize a word.
How can you cultivate in this way?
Illiteracy cannot cultivate. The door to immortality has been closed from the beginning. The ancient bronze door just now should be the door of wonders. Furukawa sensed the chaotic phenomena born around him, and he was always paying attention to the surrounding situation. The ancient bronze door stood in the void, seeming to symbolize the existence of antiquity, chaos, and immortality. It was condensed by the endless chaotic airflow. It contains many mysteries of the laws of the universe. Therefore, it must be the door to all the wonders that Lao Tzu said. In fact, this is not a real door, but a door of laws condensed by the infinite power of laws and original energy in chaos. The gate contains endless mysteries. It seems to be able to draw in the huge energy in the depths of chaos and communicate with the origin of the universe. If you want to cause the vision of the Gate of Wonders and cause the laws to vibrate, it is impossible to do it without the supreme method of cultivation. This is already an insight into the essence of the origin of the universe. Once, twice, 3 times. At this moment, Furukawa has been completely immersed in the process of cultivation, constantly reciting the contents of the Tao Te Ching deep in his heart, and from his body, it also emits the voice of gods and demons. And every syllable seems to be the sound of the Great Road, which resonates with the laws deep in the universe. Every time he runs the Tao Te Ching, it seems that the power in his body becomes stronger. With his body as in the center, endless visions occurred in a radius of tens of billions of kilometers. A huge ancient bronze door stood above his head, symbolizing eternal existence. Golden lotuses seemed to be pouring out around him. This it is the vision of enlightenment, the golden lotus emerging from the ground. At the same time, in the depths of the void, there seems to be a burst of gongs. This is not a gong or a drum, but a gong of the law. Only by causing the vibration of the law can such a thing be born. The sound of the avenue. Even the chaotic airflow with a radius of tens of billions of kilometers has formed a huge vortex, and the chaotic storm generated is simply 100 times larger than the last chaotic phenomenon of the chaos bead. Furukawa's original ancient snake body is floating in the chaos. Among them, his body seemed to be wrapped in layers of chaotic energy, and his appearance looked like an eggshell. There were 129,600 layers of such chaotic energy, layer upon layer, extremely thick.
Wow. La.
From the depths of the ancient bronze door, a large number of chaos runes poured out as if for free. These are the most original runes of laws in the depths of chaos, containing the secrets of the laws. These chaos runes were also submerged into Furukawa's original ancient snake body. At the same time, the chaos treasure hidden deep in Furukawa's sea of consciousness, chaos beads, also felt that these chaos runes were of great benefit to itself. After all, it is just a magic weapon that has just been born. It can be regarded as an infant. It does not have the power to suppress the heavens in its heyday in later generations. Therefore, it also needs to continue to practice and understand the laws of the universe so that it can complement itself and perfect its body. Countless chaos runes are like stars, sinking into the chaos bead one after another. This also further improves the laws inside the chaos bead. The aura is increasing at a geometric rate and is constantly strengthening. Call. Furukawa is floating in the chaos. At this moment, he's been immersed in cultivation and the process of improving his mana and understanding of laws. His mind is completely immersed in the avenue of the universe.
It can be said that
Furukawa has forgotten time and space and has reached the realm where all four elements are empty. The void in all directions is also constantly vibrating and buzzing with the sounds of gods and demons from the Tao Te Ching. Reading books on May Day is a joy. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Grab a recharge now. Event time, April 29th until May 3rd. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 16. Chaos does not count years, and hundreds of epochs have passed in the blink of an eye. The chaotic void, where Furukawa was at this moment, was surrounded by a huge chaotic eggshell. This place had not changed at all for hundreds of epochs. This snake is doomed. Seeing the scene, the world tree next to it felt that Furukawa was dead and completely cold, and it was impossible to withstand it. It had been severely damaged by these locust demons before. Because of its large size, it often focused on one thing at the expense of the other, unable to covering all corners of the body. Even if these locust demons find a flaw, they will penetrate the body of the world tree with the death ray, so that the small ones become large, and soon it will be severely damaged. Thousands of wounds appeared on its body, flowing with a large amount of original energy, severely damaging the soul. Such a fight, targeting its own weaknesses, simply beat it without any strength to fight back. Of course, if its strength goes further and condenses a complete according to the laws of the world, these locust demons have no chance of harming themselves. It can only be said that they are still too weak now. Because truly powerful gods and demons have no natural enemies, only the strength of their strength. Reading books every day during the Spring Festival, deposit 100 and get 500 VIP points for free. Grab a deposit now. Activity time, January 31st to February 15th. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 22. Rumble. In an instant, billions of death rays blasted Furukawa's original ancient snake body at the same time, but at this moment, a thin barrier of chaos immediately appeared on his body. And these death rays bombarded the chaos barrier and were instantly shattered into nothingness. Such power did not even scratch the skin on his body. He didn't even have the qualifications to shake his body. He just floated in place, looking at the group of locust demons with a pair of eyes that knew everything, condescendingly. Is that all there is to it? Furukawa looked at the group of locust demons and the mother locust demon indifferently.
What?
Seeing this scene, the locust mother demon's pupils shrank. It couldn't hide the shock in its heart. To be honest, it has been in the chaotic world for so long, and it kinda has seen countless gods and demons. Some of them can be beaten, and some of them are no match at all, and can only escape. But it has never seen such terrifying gods and demons. It just stands there and relies on its own strength. With its defense power, it could easily withstand the attacks of thousands of locust demons under it, without any damage. It felt awe-inspiring in its heart, feeling that the strength of this primitive ancient snake in front of it might have exceeded its imagination. The world tree is also a little confused. It has never expected that this primitive ancient snake is so tyrannical. It seems to be many times more powerful than it even imagined. It is obvious that it is so easy for these locust demons to pursue and kill itself, but it is unable to deal with this primitive ancient snake. Obviously, the power of this primitive ancient snake has evolved to be much stronger than even I don't know. It seems that you don't have much ability anymore. If this is the case, then you will return to chaos. Furukawa looked at these locust demons indifferently, filled with terrifying murderous intent. A terrifying momentum swept through the chaos in all directions, covering hundreds of millions of kilometers of time and space. All gods and demons under this momentum I felt a suffocating pressure, as if the bones all over my body were crushing, making a cracking sound. No, run away. The locust mother demon shouted loudly. used soul waves, and immediately summoned her children to quickly escape from this dangerous place. She must not confront this primitive ancient snake head-on. At this moment, it has understood that it is not this mysterious and unpredictable snake at all. If the opponent of the original ancient snake continues to fight head-on, it will probably die today. The most important thing in the chaotic world is to be cowardly. When the situation is not good, you have to run away. If you are still stupid and head-on, you will not know it long ago. How many times have you been killed by powerful gods and demons? Fight if you can, and run if you can't. The Locust Mother Demon is invincible in the chaotic world by relying on the cross policy and dominates everything. Until now, it is still alive and well, but its strength is getting stronger and stronger, the more powerful they become. But it's too late for them to escape now. The Realm of Chaos. In an instant, a realm of chaos spread out from Furukawa, covering the chaotic void with a radius of tens of billions of kilometers, and suddenly enveloped the Mother Locust Demon and tens of millions of Locust Demons. Suddenly, the depths of the pupils of all the Locust Demons were filled with. They showed a look of horror. They had never experienced such a thing before, and it seemed that the entire chaotic world had turned into mud. A terrifying power of chaos was exerted on them, as if they were carrying worlds on their backs, which made them even if he wanted to escape, there was no way he could do it. He was pinned to the spot, almost unable to move. Damn it! The Mother Locust Demon was also frightened. Even though its strength was hundreds of times more terrifying than those Locust Demons, it could only move reluctantly in the face of the oppression of the chaotic realm. But the speed of action was like a snail, and it was impossible to do so. How far to escape? What kind of power is this? The World Tree originally planned to take the opportunity to escape. While these two terrifying gods and demons were fighting, maybe it could secretly leave the battlefield. But at this moment, its body was also shrouded in the realm of chaos. Originally, it was able to escape from the battlefield. It moved very slowly, and it carried a continent with it. Now that it was suppressed by the chaos realm, its speed became even slower, worse than a snail. Whoosh! Before these Locust Demons could react, Furukawa instantly, when he moved, the snake tail on his body swung over like this. The body of a billion-kilometer-long primitive ancient snake was filled with the power of the law of chaos. Such a huge body, such a fast speed, and the power that burst out, it was simply terrifying. Boom! In an instant, Furukawa's snake tail blasted out towards these Locust Demons. In an instant, a sonic boom sounded in the chaotic void, which seemed to explode the void. All the chaos, the air currents were all expelled at this moment, forming an absolute vacuum. Tens of millions of Locust Demons, terrifying gods and demons that can beat the World Tree to death, are known as the almost invincible Locust Army in the chaotic world. Wherever they go, everything is extinct and no corpses are dead. It can be called a natural disaster. But at this moment, these huge numbers of Locust Demons were crushed by an unrivaled force. In an instant, they were flattened like a piece of paper, were directly shaken into a ball of flesh and blood. These Locust Demons couldn't even scream, and they died like this, turning into balls of minced flesh of gods and demons, floating in the chaotic void. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 23. The World Tree was confused, completely confused, and its mind was simply blank. Even though it had had many imaginations before, it never expected that this scene would happen. You must know that these are locust gods and demons who roam the chaotic world. They are known as it is the Army of Death. With this army of locust demons, the Mother Locust Demon is simply invincible. Even it is no match and can only flee in confusion. But now, such a terrifying army of locust demons, facing this primitive ancient snake, it was simply vulnerable to a blow. In an instant, it was turned into powder and meat, and it was unable to even struggle. Such terrifying, primitive, and simple power made its whole body tremble. This is the devil, truly. The invincible demon god, the terrifying demon god who can definitely make chaos tremble. Puff. With a sound, although the locust mother demon avoided the central explosion force at this moment and was only swept away by the aftermath, its body was suddenly seriously injured, and its internal organs were damaged. There was horror in the depths of its pupils. It has an extremely expression on its face, because this is the strongest god and demon it has ever seen since it was born. It is so tyrannical that it has no ability to resist. Escape. The locust mother demon doesn't even dare to say a harsh word at this moment. It is thinking about escaping from this dangerous place. It doesn't even want the world tree that can allow it to attain enlightenment. After all, now it can't even save its own life. It may not be able to keep it, so how can it possibly grab the world tree? It was so arrogant before because it had tens of millions of locust demon legions. With this legion that was not afraid of death, it was simply invincible. This legion can completely consume the power of other gods and demons, and then it takes action again to make the final decision. But now, in just an instant, this army of locust demons has been wiped out, and it can't even consume any of the enemy's strength. How can we fight this? Bloodline magical power. Locust clone. In an instant, the locust mother demon used its own magical power, and its body suddenly split into billions of emerald green locust clones. Each of these locust clones has a ray of its soul, and they are all real. If it can escape from one locust clone, even if all other clones die, then it can quickly revive with this clone. The power has returned to its peak. It can be said that this is the strongest escape magical power that the locust mother demon relies on to survive. With this magical power, it has escaped countless fatal crises. However, if this magical power is used, the power consumed is also huge, and it takes a long time for the mother locust demon to have a chance to use it. Especially after it becomes more and more powerful, there are not many gods and demons who can let it use this bloodline magical power. But it didn't thinking that I need to use it at this moment.
Wow.
In an instant, billions of emerald green locust clones flew out into the void in all directions, buzzing as they fled in different directions, and at extremely fast speeds, which ordinary gods and demons could not catch up with. Furukawa squinted his eyes, and he suddenly sensed the clones of these billions of emerald green locusts. At the same time, he used the all-seeing eye, and he immediately understood the power of the locust mother demon's magical power. It can actually split into billions of clones. As long as one clone escapes, it can survive and be reborn in another place. It is really amazing. Furukawa couldn't help but marvel at the ability of this locust mother demon. This god and demon is not only powerful in combat and can form an army by one person, but also has a very strong life-saving ability. If nothing unexpected happens, this locust mother demon will definitely become one of the 3,000 most powerful gods and demons in Chaos. Maybe it will be one of the 3,000 gods and demons in Chaos in the future. But no matter what, since this locust mother demon has offended him, he cannot let him go. Otherwise, if the other party grows up and takes revenge on him, it'll be a bit troublesome. He doesn't want his enemy to continue to be at large. The original Venom Cannon. Thinking of this, Furukawa used the blood magical power in his body to force out a drop of primitive venom from his body. All the blood power in his body was boiling, producing a very strong explosive force. He opened his mouth, and this drop of primitive venom in his body was directed towards the locust mother demon sprayed out.
Boom.
In an instant, a cannonball made of black venom sprayed out towards the locust mother demon. The speed was incredibly fast, exceeding the speed of sound hundreds of times. It was like a missile, continuously rotating, sweeping endless chaotic airflow. Then this drop of primitive venom exploded instantly in the center of this chaotic area. Although compared to Furukawa, it is just a drop of venom, but you must know that the original ancient snake's body is at this moment. The body is 1 billion kilometers long. It is conceivable that even a drop of venom is incredibly large for ordinary creatures. This volume is actually equivalent to the size of a planet.
Boom tilde tilde.
The next second, this primitive venom the size of a planet exploded in the chaotic void, and it also split into billions of venom, like raindrops, pouring into the chaotic void in all directions. In just an instant, these primitive venoms were covered after entering this area. It shrouded all the clones of the Locust Mother Demon and covered them with ease. Reading books on May Day will be a great time. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP points. Grab a deposit now, event time, for May 29th to May 3rd. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 24. The Mother Locust Demon didn't expect that Furukawa actually had such bloodline magical powers. It was completely caught off guard. Even if it had hundreds of millions of locust clones, it would be difficult to avoid being covered by these primitive venoms.
Zitsy.
In an instant, these original venom covered the locust clones, and they suddenly seemed to be conscious, and they immediately penetrated along the gaps in their bodies. Then these primitive venoms also produced powerful corrosive properties, corroding the body shells of these locust clones in an instant, and easily wrapped their entire bodies. At the same time, the toxins of these primitive venoms have penetrated every corner of their bodies, invaded every cell, and even penetrated their souls easily.
No.
The Locust Mother Demon let out a shrill scream. It felt unprecedented pain, as if it was being tortured, and its body felt like it was being bitten by billions of ants. Because the corrosiveness of these primitive venoms is too powerful, like sulfuric acid dripping on in the body, even the body of gods and demons cannot withstand such corrosiveness. Even these primitive venoms are destroying its soul. In just one breath, the Locust Mother Demon feels that her consciousness is immersed in the sea. In the dark void, it seemed to slowly return to the origin of chaos.
Boom.
In the next second, the billions of clones of the Locust Mother Demon were exterminated in an instant. All the soul breath was completely annihilated and disappeared without a trace. This statue the gods and demons thus fell into the chaotic void. Died. When the world tree in the distance saw this scene, it was simply dumbfounded. Even if I beat it to death, I didn't expect that I would see this scene. The ferocious and vicious Locust Mother Demon was actually killed by this snake so easily.
And it was still so helpless.
If it hadn't witnessed it with its own eyes, it would never believe such a thing. But sensing the death breath of the Locust Mother Demon, it had to admit that it had been chasing it for so long. The Locust Mother Demon, who also severely injured himself, was completely dead and returned to the chaos. It is indeed a primitive venom, a venom that can kill even gods and demons. Its power should not be underestimated. When Furukawa saw this scene, he immediately felt very satisfied. It was just a small test of his skills, but he could easily kill a powerful god and demon. If he continues to evolve, I am afraid that the original venom will become even more powerful. Even saints can be easily poisoned to death, and immortal creatures will perish.
Whoosh.
At this moment, the world tree felt very guilty. It secretly moved its steps, trying to escape from this place quickly. After all, the Mother Locust Demon is so terrifying. Isn't this god and demon who can kill the Locust Mother Demon even more terrifying? If he falls into the hands of the snake, he will definitely be dead. Suddenly, it wants to run away. But Furukawa is always paying attention to the actions of the World Tree, so he knows exactly what the World Tree wants to do. Even if he raises his tail, he knows whether this guy is shitting or peeing. He is here. The purpose is to capture the World Tree. How can this guy escape?
Boom.
In an instant, Furukawa moved. He used the power of blood in his body, took out the chaos bead from the sea of consciousness, and smashed it towards the World Tree. In fact, the chaos bead could also sense that this was a great opportunity for it, and could not afford to miss it. It had already eagerly flown out from Furukawa with lightning speed. It's over, I'm dead. Seeing this scene, the World Tree's hair stood on end, and its heart was ashen. It felt that this hateful snake wanted to kill itself and devour the origin of its body. After all, in the chaotic world, who doesn't know that he is the great snake? It's a supplement. It's basically Tang monk's meat, the kind that everyone wants to eat. As a tree, it's so slow that no one can escape. This is really frustrating.
Come inobediently.
Furukawa smiled slightly and looked at the world tree indifferently.
Boom.
The next second, before the world tree could react, the chaos orb came to the top of the world tree in an instant, and at the same time unfolded a huge chaos domain. A door of chaos opened in the void, and at the same time a powerful devouring force was produced. With a click, the chaos bead seemed to be impatient and swallowed the world tree in one mouthful, along with the chaos-breathing loam under its roots. Devour them together. In the blink of an eye, the world tree disappears into this chaotic space. Sure enough, it has been successful. Furukawa smiled slightly. He sensed that the world tree and the chaos-breathing loam on it had fallen into the space of the chaos bead, and it was no longer possible to escape. In the inner space of the chaos bead, even gods and demons could not escape. To break through the chaos bead space and escape, unless the opponent is 10 times more powerful than yourself. Obviously, the seriously injured world tree does not have this strength at all, and it is difficult to escape from the chaos bead space. In fact, even the world tree in its heyday, it was impossible for him to be Furukawa's opponent. In other words, after the world tree was captured by him, there was no way to escape and could only stay in the chaos bead space. From a certain perspective, the Chaos Pearl is actually the strongest prison in the Chaos world. Once imprisoned, neither gods nor demons can escape. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 25. By the way, these gods and demons' flesh and blood cannot be wasted. After capturing the world tree, Furukawa looked at the flesh and blood of the Locust Demon and the Locust Mother Demon scattered around. Although they had been killed by him and scattered into balls of flesh and blood, he had to admit that they were the most powerful monsters he had seen so far. The strongest gods and demons I have ever seen. If they had not met me, they would probably have been able to run rampant until Pangu opened the sky. Unfortunately, they were unlucky and could only die miserably here. However, the origin of gods and demons contained in their bodies, the energy, is also extremely amazing, far exceeding the shark demon and crocodile demon that he has encountered before. Otherwise, he would not have been recognized by the origin of chaos and given divine inscriptions and divine words. Click, click, click. Thinking of this, Furukawa did not hesitate and gulped one piece, immediately created a terrifying whirlpool force, which was like a whale eating away the flesh and blood of gods and demons scattered in all directions in the chaotic void. And all of these flesh and blood of gods and demons were absorbed without wasting even a drop of blood.
His belly.
Fortunately, he is quite large and has an excellent appetite. Otherwise, if ordinary gods and demons wanted to devour the flesh and blood of the Locust Mother Demon, it would probably take a long time. Not bad. It tastes a bit like cream. Furukawa ate the flesh and blood of the Locust Demon and other gods and demons. He found that the taste of the flesh and blood of each god and demon was a little different, a bit like the taste of tuna, delicious and delicious. Some also tasted like butter, sweet and smooth, and it was instant in your mouth. Transformation is the supreme delicacy in chaos. It is estimated that even if the gods and demons are not for the growth of their own cultivation, but just for eating, they will become extremely serious in killing each other. Every god and demon tastes extremely good. The delicious food. Rumble. After he swallowed the flesh and blood of these Locust Mother Demons and Locust Demons, the depths of his stomach seemed to turn into a furnace, completely refining the flesh and blood of these gods and demons, and transforming them into huge the energy of flesh and blood. Suddenly, he felt that every corner of his body was filled with the energy of gods and demons, and every cell was greedily devouring and absorbing the energy of gods and demons. At this moment, his whole body was warm, as if it was as comfortable as soaking in a hot spring. His cultivation was also growing rapidly, as if he had taken elixirs that had been used for hundreds of millions of years. There were basically no side effects, which was equivalent to hundreds of years of hard work. Maybe even more. Originally, his cultivation level has reached the mysterious Immortal realm, but now his cultivation level is rapidly evolving towards the peak of the mysterious Immortal realm. It seems that it won't be long before he touches the realm of the great Luo Golden Immortal. The body of the original ancient snake also grew. Furukawa was very excited. He could feel that as his cultivation continued to grow, his original ancient snake body was also slowly expanding, growing, increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Finally, the length of his original ancient snake body has actually doubled from before. It was 1 billion kilometers before, and now it has reached 2 billion kilometers. This makes Furukawa even more terrifying. It is estimated that the length of the Locust Mother Demon can circle the sun 50 times, and the aura of gods and demons emanating from the body is even more terrifying. If you encounter the Locust Mother Demon at this moment, it is estimated that the Locust Mother Demon will not dare to fight him at all, and will just turn around and leave. Where can you go? Dare to chirp nonsense. Maybe the Locust She-Demon can barely survive in this way. Wait, what does this feel like? Furukawa's eyes revealed a glimmer of light. He discovered that after his original ancient snake body devoured the flesh and blood of these gods and demons, he not only obtained huge amounts of divine and demonic energy, but also absorbed the fragments of laws contained within the flesh and blood of these gods and demons, and even it was the bloodline magical power that was completely swallowed up and taken directly as his own. He found that the bloodline in his body had also undergone some subtle changes, as if it had evolved and gained a new bloodline magical power. Blood Sea Clone. Furukawa got the information about this new bloodline magical power from the depths of the Sea of Consciousness. This is the Locust clone of the Locust Mother Demon's bloodline magical power. The bloodline magical power of this Locust clone interacts with the bloodline of the original ancient snake in his body. After the fusion, it transformed into a further Blood Sea clone. To be honest, he had been salivating when he saw the Locust clone of the Locust Mother Demon before. This is one of the most powerful life-saving magical powers. After obtaining it, it is difficult for ordinary gods and demons he could kill himself. But he didn't expect that after he devoured the Locust Mother Demon, he would also be able to obtain similar magical powers. This Blood Sea clone is somewhat similar to the Locust of the Locust Mother Demon, but it uses the blood in his own body as the basis. Every drop of blood in the body of the primitive ancient snake can be transformed into a small primitive ancient snake. How many drops of blood can be transformed into as many primitive ancient snakes? You must know that his body of the primitive ancient snake at this moment is full of 2 billion kilometers. The blood contained in his body is simply immeasurable, and it is equivalent to the volume of many planets. Perhaps it takes the volume of the sun to measure how much blood he contains in his body at this moment. Therefore, if he displays this sea of blood clone, countless drops of blood turned into clones of the original ancient snake, and then assisted the original ancient snake's ability to hide in the void, it was simply invincible. Just think about it. Furukawa suddenly turned into hundreds of millions of clones of the original ancient snake. Heading towards the chaotic void, he can escape in all directions and can hide his breath, hiding in the depths of the void, silently. As long as a drop of blood escapes, he can be reborn somewhere in the chaotic void. In this way, not many gods and demons in the entire chaotic world can kill him. It's him. This is simply one of the most powerful life-saving magical powers. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 26. Blood Sea Clone. With this magical power, the ability to save life is even stronger. Furukawa was very emotional. He seemed to be becoming more and more like a giant turtle. His attack power had not increased much, but his ability to save his life had increased a lot. He had become an existence that could not be killed, no matter what. This Blood Sea clone is a bit similar to the one in later generations. The ancestor of Styx, the one who claims that the sea of blood never dries up and the river of Styx never dies, is enough to prove the ancestor of Styx's life-saving ability. Even a saint can't kill him. And a Blood Sea clone like him is probably even better. Of course, this blood, in fact, the sea clone can not only be used to escape, but also can display hundreds of millions of original ancient snake clones to attack the enemy, invincible and unstoppable. Just like Sun Wukong in later generations, A single hair can transform into millions of monkeys against 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals. One can imagine the tyranny of such a clone's magical power. Even if each clone is only equivalent to part of the power of the main body, but when the number is piled up, it is extremely terrifying and will form an immortal and unstoppable force. Even after the death of these clones, the original power will return to the main body, and it will not consume much mana. On the contrary, the enemy will consume a lot of mana because of this, so this is the tyrannical power of this clone magical power.
Department.
This is actually a bloodline magical power that integrates offense and defense. It can not only attack, but also escape. But how could I devour the blood of the Locust Mother Demon and even gain the magical power of the opponent's blood? Does every god and demon in the chaos have similar abilities? At this moment, Furukawa squinted his eyes, but he became suspicious and a little confused. In fact, he had been more or less suspicious before, but he had seen too few gods and demons, so he didn't really understand this kind of thing. Is the ability shared by gods and demons? So there is not much doubt. It is just a seed of doubt appearing deep in his heart. But after meeting the Locust Mother Demon, he found that he had swallowed the flesh and blood of gods and demons. Or even the special power of obtaining the opponent's ability after using the magic weapon. This ability is not actually possessed by other gods and demons. You must know that after he refined the Chaos Bead, the Chaos Barrier, and even the Chaos Scale were born. A gained the power of the law of chaos and integrated it into every corner of the body. Now he has devoured the flesh and blood of the Locust Mother Demon and also obtained the bloodline magical power of the Blood Sea clone. Of course, he also ate the Shark Demon and the Crocodile Demon before. But the bloodline power of these gods and demons is too weak, or they are not attracted by the primitive ancient snake at all, so their bloodline power is completely digested. After all, it is not the ability of cats and dogs. The primitive ancient snake, if you don't like it, it will be transformed into energy. If you like it, it will merge into the body of the original ancient snake. To be honest, this fact is incredible. As the saying goes, there must be a demon when something goes wrong. Furukawa immediately guessed that this must be the magical power of his original ancient snake's bloodline. That's why such a thing happened. Know all things. Thinking of this, Furukawa decided to use his pair of eyes that know everything to analyze his body and blood in detail. These eyes can not only observe the enemy, but also observe himself.
Suddenly,
a mysterious power spread instantly. It scanned his whole body, like a laser scan, from the inside to the outside. A huge flow of information poured into the depths of his consciousness in an instant. It took half an hour for the flow of information to stop.
Down.
It turns out that my body really has a hidden talent called the devouring magical power. Furukawa suddenly realized his eyes couldn't help but have a frightening gleam, and he was very excited. He also understood why he gained the blood magical powers of the other party after devouring the flesh and blood of these gods and demons. The reason was because of this hidden talent in his body. Supernatural power. Devour. This is a magical power that can completely swallow up the enemy's power, magical power, and laws, and take it as his own. It can swallow up all the flesh and blood of gods and demons, integrate them into his stomach, and quickly digest and integrate them in the blood. Even this ability is not only able to swallow the flesh and blood of gods and demons, but also many magic weapons, as well as ores, elixirs, etc. born in chaos, can swallow the properties of these materials and then take them as their own.
So,
after he refined the Chaos Bead, he could easily integrate the Chaos Law of the Chaos Bead into his own bloodline, giving birth to the Chaos Barrier and Chaos Scale armor, making his original ancient snake body even more powerful. I didn't expect that the blood power of my primitive ancient snake body would be so powerful. Furukawa was suddenly filled with emotion. The stomach deep inside his body is called the primitive stomach, which can turn all materials into their original state and return them to chaos. Because of this, his primitive ancient snake body's digestive ability, it is more terrifying than other gods and demons. There are gods and demons in later generations who once called this ability snake, eating elephants. Ordinary snakes can only be strung to death after swallowing giant elephants, but Furukawa, as a primitive ancient snake, does not care. Even if it swallows anything, it is impossible to survive. This is the terror of this ability, and it is also the most essential magical power of the primitive ancient snake, and its true tyranny. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 27. By the way, I wonder what is happening to the World Tree now. At this time, Furukawa also thought of the World Tree that he imprisoned in the Chaos Bead space. In fact, it has been a while since he devoured the flesh and blood of the Locust Mother Demon.
Boom tilde tilde.
In an instant, his consciousness was immersed in the Chaos Bead space. He suddenly sensed that the middle position of the Chaos Bead space had suddenly become the place where the World Tree was located. He saw an endless piece of land appearing in the center of the Chaos Bead space, which was made of chaos breath. Formed by condensation of loam, these chaos-breathing loams seemed to have active breath, constantly swallowing the surrounding chaotic airflow. Moreover, these chaos-breathing loams benefit from the power of chaos beads, and they grow hundreds of times faster than before. This is in just a short period of time. The land area has doubled. At this moment, the World Tree growing on the chaotic void soil is also growing quietly in this chaotic void, and its roots are also following the chaos. The loam soil continues to expand toward the outside. Well, it seems that the injuries on his body are getting better. Furukawa squinted his eyes. He sensed that the World Tree itself was in a state of serious injury, but after a while, it swallowed the chaotic energy, and it was in a state of slight injury. In fact, this is the World Tree. With its special talent, it has extremely abundant vitality. As long as the injury is not fatal, the World Tree can recover quickly. Therefore, it only takes a period of time for it to return to a state of minor injury, and if a period of time passes, it is estimated that the injuries on the body will recover as before, or even improve to the next level. But this guy is very at ease. He looks heartless. Isn't he afraid that I will eat it? Furukawa blinked his eyes. He originally thought that the World Tree should be very worried and scared. After all, he was forcibly captured into the Chaos Bead space, and no god or demon would not feel scared. But this World Tree is very at ease. After being stationed in this place, he not only began to recover from his injuries, but also began to slowly swallow up the chaotic airflow around him, increasing his own cultivation. Even this guy's breathing was very rhythmic, and he began to sleep in this place with every exhale and inhale. In fact, the World Tree was extremely scared at first, for fear of what this hateful snake would do to itself, for fear that it would be eaten by this snake in an instant. But after a while, it completely looked at after all, the snake's life is in the hands of that snake, so it doesn't matter at all. It's better to eat and drink here and recover from the injury. So, in just a period of time, it became familiar with this place and began to recover. Despite his injuries, he even thought this place was a holy land for cultivation, so he gradually practiced and increased his cultivation level. This is also the characteristic of the World Tree, a plant type of gods and demons. It is very easygoing and can take root and sprout as long as there is a piece of soil. Grow up quickly. The World Tree? What an incredible creature. Furukawa's all-knowing eyes stared at the World Tree, like a laser, scanning the body of the World Tree, gaining insight into all the mysteries of its body. He discovered that the World Tree contained complete world laws, and its trunk, its roots, and even each of its leaves contain the power of the laws of the world, and the complete patterns of the laws of the world. This can be called a god and demon who is born to master the laws of the world. As long as he does not die, he will definitely become the strongest in the future. One of the gods and demons, even among the gods and demons, it can be regarded as the most talented, comparable to Pangu. Even the Locust Mother Demon cannot compare with the World Tree. Unfortunately, in the early stages, the World Tree doesn't have much combat power. Although it has high potential, it will have no effect if it cannot grow to the later stage. Especially in the wild, primitive, and bloody chaotic world, If it does not have super combat power in the early stage, it will be a dead end. In fact, this is also true. The chaotic gods and demons of the world tree have almost disappeared in later generations, and they did not even survive the moment when the 3,000 gods and demons fought Pengu. This is because from the beginning, the world tree was regarded as Tang monk meat and was eaten by other gods and demons, without giving it a chance to grow to its peak. But it is different now. If it is under the protection of Furukawa, this world tree may become one of the strongest gods and demons, possessing invincible super fighting power. Is this the law of the world? It's incredible. Furukawa stared at the world tree and analyzed the secrets on the world tree. Under the all-knowing eye, there are no secrets in the patterns of laws on the world tree. He understood them all. To be honest, for Furukawa, the world tree at this moment is like a supreme inscription engraved with the secrets of all the laws of the world, a scripture of the supreme way of the world. This is a bright road that has led to the secrets of the laws at the end of the world's laws. If you can understand the world, if the world's laws are contained in the world tree, then it is equivalent to him completely understanding the world's laws and controlling avenue. For Furukawa, understanding the power of the world's laws from the world tree is more powerful than swallowing the world tree. It makes sense. In fact, by devouring the flesh and blood of gods and demons and gaining the power of their bloodline, you can kill any god or demon. But for gods and demons, the most important thing is to master the power of laws. Only by following the strongest path and understanding the rules can you master the strongest combat power. Reading books on May Day will be great. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Grab a deposit now. Event time, April 29th to May 3rd. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 28. The laws of the world are actually very complex, more complex than most laws. From the world tree, Furukawa suddenly understood that the difficulty of understanding the laws of the world is not comparable to the previous laws, because it is not only one kind of law, but a collection of multiple laws. The so-called laws of the world are with the laws of time, space, creation, 5 elements, yin and yang, etc. All the factors that make up the world are included in the world's laws. Therefore, it will take infinite time to fully understand the world's laws, and if you don't have enough talent, you may not be able to understand it in your lifetime. It is also because of this that the talent of the world tree is said to be extremely high. After all, the world tree is born with world laws, countless patterns of world laws, and many world runes are integrated into every corner of its body, equivalent to its bloodline magical power. For the world tree, as long as its cultivation reaches a certain height, it can naturally understand the laws of the world, making its own mana, soul mastery of laws and regulations, mastery of transformation, body integration with the Great Road. This is a top talent that can make all the gods and demons jealous. It is impossible to understand the laws of the world all at once. You must do it step by step in order to succeed. Furukawa narrowed his eyes. He knew that the laws of the world are almost the top of the power of many laws. If it is described as learning, then understanding the laws of the world is equivalent to the level of a university doctorate. So if you want to become a doctor, you need to start studying in kindergarten. Then go to elementary school, junior high school, then undergraduate, master, etc., and finally a doctorate. The same principle. If you want to fully understand the laws of the world, you must first understand the laws of time, space, and creation. The law of the 5 elements, the law of elements, the law of yin and yang, etc. Only by thoroughly understanding these branch laws, and then integrating all the laws, can the real-world laws be finally formed and reach their peak. Ordinary gods and demons want to understand these. The law must be extremely difficult, and it will take many years and months, so it may not be successful. But fortunately, with the example of the world tree in front of Furukawa, all the mysteries of the world's laws are presented to him, so he doesn't know how easy it is. How many times? It's like an open book exam. There are even answers to the test paper next to it, which makes it easier. The world tree is the answer to the test paper, and it is the only correct way. Road to road, very avenue. Name, nameable, very famous. Nothing is called the beginning of heaven and earth. Being is called the mother of all things. Therefore, if there is always nothing, I want to observe its wonderfulness. If there is always something, I want to observe its beauty. The two have the same origin but different names, and they are both called Xian. Mysterious and mysterious, the door to all mysteries. There was a bang, and in an instant, Furukawa was prostrate in the chaos, and the words of the Tao Te Ching rang out from the depths of his consciousness, which were spoken in the language of gods and demons. Every word spoken seemed to be like the great Tao. Like a sound, it caused vibrations in the chaotic void, attracting endless chaotic energy. In just a moment, with Furukawa's body as the center, a chaotic vortex with a diameter of tens of billions of kilometers was instantly formed. The rotation formed a terrifying chaotic phenomenon. Endless chaotic energy, as if it was free of charge, crazily poured into Furukawa's limbs and bones, constantly improving his mana cultivation and the blood of gods and demons in his body. Of course, this is not the most important thing. The most important thing is that his soul seems to have merged into the avenue of heaven and earth at this moment, blending into the depths of the origin of chaos. At this moment, his soul is in an ethereal state, and the four elements are empty. It seems that all negative emotions all have been excluded, and there is only a state of nothingness left in the depths of the soul. This state is actually absolute reason. In this state, the soul's comprehension and calculation power will be unprecedentedly improved, excluding all external things. Interference is like evolving from an ordinary computer to an optical brain. This has huge benefits for understanding the laws of the universe. It is like evolving from a scumbag to a top student. All questions seem to become extremely easy at this moment. The basis of the laws of the world is the laws of space. It is precisely because of space and space barriers that isolate the dangers from the outside world that the concept of space is formed. If you want to understand the laws of the world, you must understand the laws of space. Space is the foundation of the world, the beginning of everything. At this moment, Furukawa was in an inexplicable epiphany. If you can't learn something in 1 year, it will take you 10 years to learn it, or it will take you 100 years to learn it. For example, for gods and demons like Furukawa, hundreds of epochs have passed in just one retreat. But as for human beings, if they stay in seclusion for 100 years, most of them will die of old age, and it's just a matter of practice. Before cultivation has even begun, human beings are already dying. Because of this, compared with other monsters, humans are really not worth mentioning. Even if they're slightly talented, their development potential is not very great. Of course, the most important thing is that Nuwa once wanted to teach the method of cultivation to humans, but she also found that this was impossible because the brain capacity of the newly born humans was too low. Even if Nuwa tells her cultivation methods, the problem is that she is proficient in the words and languages of gods and demons, and these weak humans cannot understand what Nuwa is saying. Even though it has been preached for thousands of years, humans are still at a loss and cannot even communicate with Nuwa. This feeling is actually like that of humans in later generations and the pet dogs and cats who accompany them. Even if they try their best, it is impossible to teach the human language to the cats and dogs, and it is impossible for them to understand it. Just teaching the other person to eat, sleep, and find a place to pee is extremely difficult. In terms of IQ and brain capacity, the two sides are not at the same level, nor are they creatures of the same level. Therefore, in front of Nuwa and other ancient gods, human beings at the beginning were actually no different from beasts. If you must understand it, it is that scientists in modern society have used cloning technology and genetic technology to create a special genetic creature that is as wild as a beast. Humans at the beginning were low-level creatures that could not cultivate, had short lifespans, and were like wild beasts. Such creatures were actually very useless to Nuwa. Because of this, it is not difficult to understand why Nuwa gave up on humans after creating them, abandoned them on the primitive land, and left them to fend for themselves. Humanity was regarded as a failure by Nuwa. But even so, The brilliance of Goddess Nuwa also gave human beings a great security guarantee at the beginning, so that other races did not dare to do anything to human beings, and allowed human beings to survive in the prehistoric world. After all, the prehistoric world is very big, and to those monsters, human beings are like ants, nothing at all, so human beings survived tenaciously in the prehistoric world. Later, through the teachings of the sage Lao Tzu, human beings were finally able to learn the method of immortality, improve their brains, and finally slowly rise to become the only protagonist in the world. It is estimated that when mankind was first born, no race could have imagined that such a short-lived species would actually become the protagonist of the world in the future, far surpassing the Witch Clan and Monster Clan. It has to be said that the sage Lao Tzu has been of great help to the human race. If he had not transformed the method of cultivating gods and demons into a method that humans can practice, I am afraid that the human race will always be inferior creatures and short-lived species. Even though the Saint Lao Tzu made such a decision for his own practice, it is an indelible contribution to mankind. That's why Lao Tzu's destiny in later generations is so deeply involved with the human race, even more deeply than Nuwa. Basically, the sage Lao Tzu is the teacher of the human race and the beginning of everything. Thinking of this, Furukawa set his sights on this cute little loli. Furukawa, come out here. I'll see you if I need something. At this moment, the little loli put her hands on her hips, seemed to sense Furukawa's aura, and shouted to the sky. In fact, after so many years, Furukawa has also had a lot of exchanges with the World Tree, and the relationship between them is... They became very familiar with each other, just like friends, which eliminated the strangeness before the beginning. But after becoming familiar with each other, this little loli relied on Furukawa not to be disadvantageous to her, so she became more and more aggressive. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 33. Hearing this, Furukawa thought, and his soul broke away from his original ancient snake body and instantly came to the space of the chaos bead. The appearance and body shape of his soul are almost the same as those of humans in previous lives, but they have become more perfect. His body is filled with bursts of Tao charm, and his body is covered with a layer of gray Taoist robes condensed from the laws of chaos, exuding the aura of Tao. As if he was resonating with the chaotic void at this moment, reaching the supreme state of Taoism and nature. It seems that wherever he appears, the source of chaos everywhere is cheering and encouraging. Whoosh! The next second, Furukawa appeared in front of this little loli. What's the matter, Xianxia? Furukawa looked at this little loli and blinked. The name Xianxia is the name of the World Tree. It was also obtained by the World Tree for himself. It calls itself the first ray of sunshine in the chaos. How have you decided on what I discussed with you last time? Little Lolita Xianxia looked at Furukawa with a look of anticipation on her face and blinked her big eyes. You mean to ask me to go back with you and save those younger brothers you had before? Furukawa touched his chin. He also remembered that the last time he communicated with Xianxia, the World Tree, he had told her something about her little brother. When she was living in chaos, due to the appeal of the World Tree itself, some plant gods and demons joined the team of the World Tree and were protected by the World Tree. However, they were later attacked by the Locust Mother Demon. In order to prevent her younger brother from being harmed, she chose to leave alone and attracted the Locust Mother Demon. But now that the Mother Locust Demon is dead, her younger brothers should be safe and sound, but Xianxia, the World Tree, is still very worried about the safety of her younger brothers. After all, she has not seen with her own eyes whether her younger brothers are safe, so she still can't let go. So, I wanted Furukawa to help me find my younger brothers and confirm whether they were safe. However, Furukawa was still in retreat before and had no interest in going there, so he put it aside. Your younger brothers are probably dead long ago, Furukawa said lazily. You just died. Xianxia glared at Furukawa and said angrily, I don't know how smart my little brothers are, and they should be hidden in the world area I arranged. Even the Locust Mother Demon can't find the place I arranged. Now it is only a few hundred epochs in the past, and it is impossible for them to be killed by other gods and demons. Although she said this, she was still very worried. After all, who knows what accidents might happen. If by accident, a god or demon accidentally encountered her lair and discovered the world area she had arranged, and thus, if I find my group of younger brothers, I'm afraid it will be over. Because of this, World Tree Xianxia is so anxious to find his group of younger brothers. But even though you say that, you probably don't know where your original home base is. Furukawa smiled slightly. There is a reason why he said this, because the world of chaos is too big, boundless, as vast as the universe, and there are no iconic directions of southeast, northwest, up, down, left, and right. At the same time, there is nothing that can be definitely discovered. In such a place, once many gods and demons leave their place, it is almost difficult to return to their original place. Don't worry about this. I have already placed a world mark on my lair. Even if I escape to the end of the chaotic world, I can use this world mark to find the specific location of my lair. Xianxia was proud, saying that he had thought of this a long time ago, so he arranged his own spiritual imprint in his lair. In this way, this kind of thing with its own spiritual imprint is like a space coordinate. Generally, no matter where she goes, she can sense the location of the coordinates. And she can also easily return from any place. In fact, this is also the chaotic world where countless gods and demons create in order to prevent themselves from losing their way. The secret method that comes out. In a chaotic world, spatial coordinates are very important. Otherwise, once you lose your way, you will not know where you have gone, which is quite dangerous. In fact, this is a bit similar to how humans will move in the universe in later generations. When navigating, you need to determine the coordinates of each space, so as not to lose your way in the void of the universe. Of course, there are planets in the universe of the next generation, which can be regarded as iconic things in the universe. Confirming your location will not be the same, as the chaotic world is so difficult. Well, since you know where your old lair is, it doesn't matter if I accompany you there. Thinking of this, Furukawa agreed to the request of World Tree Xianxia, because he suddenly felt that his chaos speed space was still a bit monotonous. Just one world tree was not enough, and more gods and demons were needed to live in it. That's it. It seems that the younger brothers of the world tree should be various types of plant-based gods and demons. If they also live in the chaos speed space, the chaos speed space will slowly evolve into a truly lively chaotic world. At the same time, chaos speeds will also gain huge benefits and grow rapidly. Very good. Little Alita Xianxia is very excited. She has great fun reading books on May Day. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Grab the deposit now. Activity time, April 29th to May 3rd. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 34. Whoosh. In the blink of an eye, Furukawa sailed in the chaos for hundreds of years, guided by the morning light of the World Tree. Fortunately, there is the spiritual imprint of the World Tree. Otherwise, finding a place in the chaos would be many times more difficult than finding a needle in a haystack. Over the past hundreds of years, I would occasionally encounter some gods and demons, but they were all extremely weak. Furukawa would eat these weak gods and demons in one encounter. However, these gods and demons were too weak to bring much benefit to Furukawa. They could only be eaten as snacks, which was better than nothing. And even if Furukawa's original ancient snake is extremely large, reaching 50 billion kilometers, it is still a giant for ordinary gods and demons, and it is enough to stir up boundless waves in the chaos. However, due to Furukawa's talent, he can easily blend into the void, and his figure can be easily hidden in the chaotic airflow, silently and without a shadow. So, no matter how fast he is, it is difficult for the gods and demons to find his traces, and even he is extremely good at hiding the breath of the original ancient snake on his body. Because of this, when Furukawa moves quickly, as long as he is not discovered intentionally, it is difficult for other gods and demons to detect the whereabouts of Furukawa's true form. Here we are, this is the place. At this moment, the excited voice of World Tree Xianxia immediately sounded from the depths of Furukawa's sea of consciousness. She said that her lair was here, and she enthusiastically gave Furukawa guidance. Here. According to the guidance of the World Tree, Furukawa's spiritual consciousness penetrated, but he found that within the perception range of his spiritual consciousness, the void in all directions was nothingness. Nothing existed, and it was no different from other chaotic voids. His thoughts with a movement, he used his all-knowing eye to observe chaos. At this moment, he finally discovered that this place was unusual. Under the gaze of the all-knowing eye, he saw that the chaotic void was wrapped by a void nest. Like an eggshell, seems to be shrouded by a transparent world barrier, blending into the chaotic void. And this void nest is hidden in the chaos, and they seem to be one with each other. The barrier is engraved with dense world runes, one after another. A space law is densely covered in every corner of the nest, like a spider web. If it were not for the all-knowing eye, he would not be able to discover that there is a void nest in this place. Sharp. Seeing this scene, Furukawa couldn't help but marvel. This is indeed a nest created by the World Tree. It is too secretive. If it hadn't been reminded by the World Tree, he would not have noticed that there is a void nest in this place. After all, the chaotic world is boundless, and the surrounding scenery is the same. Who would notice that there is actually a world nest hidden in an inconspicuous chaotic void? But the reason why it is so well hidden is also due to the talent of the tree itself. She can create small worlds at will. This is her instinct-like talent. Even though she is in her early childhood, this ability is already extraordinary and cannot be compared with other gods and demons. No wonder the World Tree was so confident before, believing that even in the past hundreds of epochs, no gods and demons would be able to discover where their lair is. If you have such an ability, then you can indeed do it. See this after the Void Lair, Furukawa could not help but reconfirm the terrifying talent of the World Tree. Come in quickly, but your body is so big, my lair may not be able to accommodate your body. Little lowly Chun, she looked distressed. She couldn't wait to go back. It doesn't matter as long as the soul goes in, the real body stays outside. Furukawa has already thought of a way. Okay then, let's go in. Hearing this, little lowly Xianxia nodded vigorously. She couldn't wait for a long time. Whoosh! At this moment, a humanoid soul emerged from Furukawa's original ancient snake body, and the morning light of the World Tree also transformed into the spirit of the little Lolita. The two spirits easily submerged into the nest of the World Tree. In fact, the nest of the World Tree also has a defense mechanism, and the powerful laws of the world are enough to withstand it. Most of the gods and demons invaded, and it was difficult for ordinary gods and demons to approach. However, this lair itself was built by the World Tree, and its original power belongs to the World Tree, so little lowly Xianxia will not cause any trouble when entering it. Waves, as if the barriers of this world were welcoming their master back, without any obstruction. The next second, Furukawa and little lowly Xianxia disappeared into the space barrier of the world barrier, and suddenly entered the inner space of this lair. What appeared in front of Furukawa was a large world. In terms of area, is estimated to be comparable to the surface area of the sun, which is naturally small for a chaotic world. But it is already a good nest for ordinary gods and demons, enough to avoid most dangers. The ground is also composed of chaotic loam. The soil is perfect, with countless green weeds growing on the ground, lush and green, and the air is filled with a fresh smell. There are also trees growing around, lush, dense, and shaded, which makes Furukawa feel like it seems like returning to the primeval forest in the future. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 35. After arriving at the nest of the World Tree, the first thing Furukawa saw was a towering tree standing in the center of the world. Its height was tens of millions of kilometers. Although it was shorter than the original World Tree quite a few, but it can definitely be considered a towering tree. Of course, what caught Furukawa's attention was not its size, but its own strength. It seemed to exude the power of stars, shining with the dazzling light of stars, and was extremely bright. There are also fruits growing on its branches, but these fruits are obviously different from ordinary fruits. They are completely the fruits of stars. It seems that every fruit is like a real star. On this big tree there are thousands of star fruits, so thousands of stars are born. Looking from a distance, it seems that this big tree is an infinite star field, which is extremely shocking. The billions of starlight twinkling, as if filled with terrible power. This is my most capable and loyal subordinate, the star tree. Seeing Furukawa's gaze, the little Alita Xianxia introduced proudly. This guy blocked the road and tried to rob me, but I beat him up. He immediately obeyed, so he cried and shouted for me to take him in. After countless epochs of training, she has grown into my most capable subordinate. Now that I have been missing for such a long time, my most loyal subordinate must be worried. She looked embarrassed. Star tree? Furukawa didn't expect that there were such magical trees in the chaos. Could it be that the countless stars born in later generations were actually the fruits of this tree, and then turned into stars all over the sky to form the universe? If this is true, then the potential of this star tree is incredible. It is almost as good as the world tree. It is no wonder that it will become the most capable subordinate of the world tree. He looked over in front of him. There were dense weeds growing on the ground, but they are not ordinary weeds, but stars twinkling, emitting blue power. Under such a blue energy package, it seems that people feel like they are in the starry sky. And each weed is not simple. It looks very soft, but in fact it contains a terrifying edge, as if a weed can pierce the stars. This is starlight grass, one of my right-hand men. Little lowly Xianxia continued to introduce. It is actually a bit similar to the locust mother demon. It has a mother body that can produce countless weed seeds by itself. These weed seeds will fly away with the airflow and adapt to the situation. As long as they find a place, they can immediately grow wildly. Their vitality is extremely tenacious and can be difficult to kill by ordinary disasters. Even starlight grass will turn into grass wherever it goes. Starlight fills the sky, forming a grassland, which will turn into a boundless star field. Of course, its combat effectiveness is pretty good, and it ranks third in our place, second only to me and Star Tree, who is also my loyal subordinate. She introduced her second subordinate. Furukawa nodded. He didn't expect that the world tree actually collected so many loyal plant-type gods and demons. It is worthy of being the ancestor of all plants. For all plant-type gods and demons, it actually has natural attraction, is a natural leader of plant gods and demons. He continued to look over, but he saw the third tree. Its trunk seemed to be no less tall than the star tree. Its appearance was like a cherry blossom tree, with dense growth. Pink flowers. Seen from a distance, they looked unusually beautiful and exuded a fragrant atmosphere. But he felt an extremely dangerous feeling from this tree. It seemed that every flower, even every petal, had terrifying magical properties, as if they were living things with a chilling smell. When the wind blows gently, these flowers are like dandelion flowers, floating in the wind. This is my third subordinate, the puma tree. Little Alita Xianxia continued to introduce. Although it looks very beautiful, it is the most dangerous plant-type god and demon among all my subordinates. Every flower it grows, and even every petal, has the ability to be parasitic. If these petals and flowers fall into the bodies of other gods and demons, they will immediately swallow up all the blood and even souls in their bodies, which is extremely demonic. She said that the Poo Demon Tree is her most dangerous subordinate. If it were not for her identity as the World Tree, other plant gods and demons would not be able to suppress the Poo Demon Tree. Only the World Tree can suppress the Poo Demon Tree. Obey orders. Sharp. Furukawa is also an eye-opener. Plant-type gods and demons are indeed not as simple as in the legend. They are just weak at the beginning, but as they get to the later stage, they become more and more unsolvable, and their strength will become stronger and stronger.
Terrifying.
As long as they are given a chance to grow up, not many gods and demons can suppress them. From the Star Tree, Starlight Grass, Poo Demon Tree, and World Tree, we can actually see that their strength and potential are definitely second to none, and they are on the front line. However, in the beginning, they still need to be protected by gods and demons. In fact, they just have no protection from other gods and demons, so it is basically difficult to hear about them in future generations. His reputation was probably lost during the war between gods and demons. In fact, similar gods and demons with great potential also fell because they could not grow to the later stage. After all, this is a real chaotic world. Who would let such potential gods and demons continue? To grow, of course, you should strike first to gain strength and strike later to suffer disaster. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 36. However, in addition to the Star Tree, Starlight Grass, and Pooh Demon Tree, there are also other plant-based gods and demons in this world. Under the gaze of Furukawa's all-seeing eye, they are all invisible. It's over, it's over. I dared to call him a fool just now. Will I be retaliated against? Xianxia Loli's face turned green. She thought that she had dared to jump out so stupidly just now. She was really blind and blind. She didn't expect this guy to be so perverted. It was not in line with common sense. She felt that waiting for her jaw to stutter, this primitive ancient snake is good. If you wear small shoes, you might be eaten. Have I evolved too much now? At this moment, Furukawa stands in the chaotic void, and the primitive ancient snake body exudes a powerful aura unbridled, and there is no need to hide it in the chaotic world. His 50 billion kilometers of primitive ancient snake body itself is a kind of speechless shock. Just now, he didn't use all his strength, just a part of it, but he had easily killed 27 chaos gods and demons. His power was unparalleled. To be honest, he hadn't even started to warm up yet. At this moment, Furukawa is extremely powerful, and he has also comprehended the laws of chaos and space. This evolution is many times faster than that of ordinary gods and demons. You must know that the chaos gods and demons at this moment are still in the wild and primitive era. Mainly the method of cultivation relies on devouring chaotic energy and the flesh and blood of other gods and demons, so as to enhance strength. As for the real method of cultivation, few chaotic gods and demons can understand it. But Furukawa has been ahead from the beginning. After meeting many chaotic gods and demons and understanding the cultivation methods of gods and demons, the efficiency of swallowing chaotic energy is more than dozens or hundreds of times faster. Not to mention, relying on the Tao Te Ching and the bloodline talent of the original ancient snake, he quickly understood the laws of chaos and the laws of space, and he was so many steps ahead of other gods and demons. If you have to compare, the chaos gods and demons at this moment are actually still in the primitive era. They only know that they are bloodthirsty, and only he knew how to refine a simple spear. But Furukawa was in the late feudal era, when all kinds of catapults, siege weapons, and even muskets were refined. This was purely a crushing of knowledge and technology, and it was one-sided.
Fight.
And if these chaos gods and demons still want to provoke me, then they really don't know how to write the word death. Run away. At this moment, the three top gods and demons of the Dark Spider Demon, Octopus Demon, and Moth Demon looked at each other. Extreme panic and fear welled up in their hearts, and they simply did not dare to compete with Furukawa. They used all their strength, escaped from this place quickly, flying into the void. The fastest one is the Moth Demon. It displays its strongest bloodline magical power. It carries black wings on its body and keeps fluttering. It seems to be integrated into the chaotic void. From its wings, the law of wind and space emerge. The two laws merge together, making its speed reach an incredible level, as if it had reached the speed of light. In just a moment, its body shape merged into the deepest part of the void. Silently, just want to start from this escape from the place far away and escape within the scope of Furukawa. Chaos Air Cannon. The most exaggerated thing is the Octopus Demon. It took a deep breath, and its whole body expanded more than 100 times in an instant, and all its tentacles were integrated into the body. At this moment, it turned into a sphere with a diameter of tens of billions of kilometers. Deep inside the body stores a large amount of chaotic airflow.
Boom.
The next second, the Octopus Demon instantly sprays these chaotic airflows from the depths of its belly, which makes its body turn into a jet aircraft. And such chaotic airflow is like a cannonball. It blasted towards Furukawa. This force could not only easily penetrate worlds and planets. At the same time, it could also use such impact to escape from this place in an instant, with no speed at all. No less than the first moth demon to run away. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 44. These Heartless Guys. The dark spider demon cursed and was extremely mad because its reaction speed was not as fast as the other octopus demons and moth demons, so it was a step late. Originally, they were allies of the offensive and defensive alliance, and they should be watching and helping each other. But now, encountered a fatal crisis, these two bastards simply ran faster than anyone else. If it hadn't witnessed it with its own eyes, it wouldn't have known that its two companions were so fast. Dark Realm. But the dark spider demon was not to be outdone. Its speed was no less than that of the other two gods and demons. In an instant, its entire spider body merged into the chaotic void. Each of its spider legs merged into the void, and thousands of them merged into the void. The stack of tens of thousands of spider legs is like a bagua millstone, emitting bursts of rhythms. It seems that at this moment, its body turns into a black bagua light, escaping into the void, hiding its breath, and actually the speed is faster than the moth demon and the octopus demon. If it weren't for Furukawa's all-seeing eye, I'm afraid he wouldn't be able to capture the figure of this dark spider demon at this moment, and it would disappear into the chaotic void in an instant. Interesting. Furukawa narrowed his eyes. He instinctively felt that this dark spider demon was very extraordinary. It was far superior to other chaotic gods and demons. It seemed that the opponent exuded the aura of Tao and seemed to be proficient in some superficial cultivation methods. This is very unusual. From the starting point, this dark spider demon surpassed other gods and demons. The most important thing is that he actually saw the image of Bagua Yin and Yang from the dark spider demon's bloodline magical power, exuding the rhythm of the heaven and earth, which was very incredible. He felt that you can't let this dark spider demon go, otherwise you will regret it for the rest of your life. Chaos Realm. In an instant, Furukawa's heart moved, and he took out the chaos bead on his body in an instant. Originally, he could use his chaos domain to suppress the opponent. The problem was that in order to avoid accidents and achieve a foolproof level, he decided to use the chaos bead. Take it out and completely suppress these three extraordinary gods and demons.
Boom, tilde.
The next second, the chaos bead appeared. With the chaos bead as the center, the chaotic space-time with a radius of trillions of kilometers suddenly came to a standstill, as if time had stopped at this moment. All the chaotic airflow was frozen at this moment, and even thinking was frozen. At this moment, the power of the chaos orb completely exploded, showing the extraordinary power of the chaos treasure. It seemed to be above many laws and suppressed the chaos of time and space. In an instant, no matter how the three chaotic gods and demons of the dark spider demon, moth demon, and octopus demon fled and displayed their bloodline magical powers, their bodies were unable to move under the suppression of the chaos domain of the chaos bead. Ruined. The moth demon's face turned green. It found that its wings could no longer vibrate. It tried to run the laws of space and wind and the power of the laws to escape. But it was of no use at all because these laws were frozen by the realm of chaos. It seemed that everything the power of the law has returned to chaos and turned into the most primitive state. It can't get out of such a suppressed state no matter how hard it lives. How so? The octopus demon was completely confused. It wanted to use the power of the chaotic airflow and the extreme burst speed to escape from this place in an instant. No matter how powerful the terrifying gods and demons were, they would not be able to catch up with them. But now, it found that its huge octopus body was frozen, and no matter how red its face was, the chaotic airflow could not surge even half a minute. Originally, it thought that no god or demon could catch up with its escape speed, but now it completely underestimated the terrifying god and demon in front of it. At this moment, it was like an octopus on the chopping board and could be slaughtered at any time, not to mention how panicked and frightened it was at this moment. No, we can't just sit back and wait for death. In an instant, The dark spider demon also felt the same experience. It found that its dark domain had been frozen, and it seemed like a specimen frozen in the darkness. If it continues like this, it will definitely be killed by that terrifying. If the gods and demons catch them, they will not be able to control their own life or death. This will definitely be an extremely miserable end. Come out, Chaos Skynet. Thinking of this, the dark spider demon no longer hides his last resort, which can be called the strongest trump card. A chaos magic weapon, Chaos Skynet immediately emerged from it. Its appearance is like a spider web, and it also looks like a spider web. Like a large fishing net, densely packed transparent lines appeared. But these are not ordinary transparent lines, but lines of law, lines of the avenue. Countless lines of laws are intertwined to form an omnipresent, a terrifying network. Under such a chaotic Skynet, once it is enveloped, even powerful gods and demons cannot escape. They will be captured by the chaotic Skynet in an instant and have nowhere to hide. And such a chaotic Skynet is the companion magic weapon of the dark spider demon, which has unparalleled power. It is precisely with this companion magic weapon that it often defeats the strong with the weak, and finally grows to this day. I don't know how many gods and demons have died in its chaos. Skynet's hand. Originally, this was its trump card, and would not be used easily, but at this point, even if it was not used, there was nothing that could be done, otherwise it would be dead today. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 45. Past. The dark spider demon used the huge mana in his body and instantly threw the magic weapon on his body, the Chaos Skynet. Immediately, this power broke through the suppression of the Chaos Realm. A large net that was almost like the way of heaven enveloped it. Come, showing a transparent state, invisible, soundless, and colorless, moving according to your heart, easily blending into the chaotic void. In an instant, this chaotic Skynet also expanded rapidly and continued to expand, as if it were intertwined with countless threads of law. It contains countless laws of the chaotic void and is all-encompassing. Under the cover of this big net, it seems that all gods and demons cannot escape. Under the general trend, all forces will be crushed. This is the so-called Skynet that is sparse and not leaking. Interesting. Furukawa looked at the Skynet indifferently. He could feel the power of the Chaos Skynet. If it was covered, even the gods and demons would be captured and unable to break free. Unless they were captured. Gods and demons have the power to break free from the 3,000 laws, otherwise they would not be able to tear apart this chaos. The net can only be captured obediently. It's like a beast caught in a trap. The fish caught in a fishing net, the harder they struggle, the faster they die, and the more entangled they become. There is no doubt that this is an extremely powerful chaos magic weapon. Although I have never heard of its reputation before, in terms of power, it is no less powerful than any chaos magic weapon. I have to say that this dark spider demon does have something of its own, and it actually has such a companion magic weapon. The origin of its heels is definitely not a simple thing. But at this moment, Furukawa was motionless, just staying in place quietly, letting the chaotic Skynet cover him, and just watching the actions of the dark spider demon indifferently. Haha, you dead snake. You are standing still so stupidly. You are finished this time. Seeing this scene, the dark spider demon was overjoyed. This dead snake actually dared to stand in front of him, and he didn't even try to hide in the face of the power of the Chaos Skynet. This was not seeking death or something. I guess this guy didn't know it at all. The great thing about Chaos Skynet is that it is a powerful chaos magic weapon that can leapfrog challenges. Once it is completely shrouded and closed, even if the opponent is more powerful than it, it will not be able to break free. It will be captured obediently and become its own prisoner. And after he captures the opponent, the Chaos Skynet still has the function of refining the prey. Soon the primitive ancient snake will be refined into a pool of blood.
Boom.
But before it wakes up from its dream, the chaotic Skynet blasted out hit Furukawa, but at this moment, the dark spider demon was immediately stunned. It widened its eyes. It couldn't say anything at this moment. because it found that the chaotic sky net it cast was too small, and the body of the primitive ancient snake in front of it was also too big. You must know that although the chaos skynet can move according to its will, it is not unlimited. It needs to be based on the mana in it. How big the mana is, how big the chaos skynet can become. The problem is that its current mana cultivation level is far behind Furukawa, so it is simply a fantasy to activate the chaos skynet to deal with Furukawa. At this moment, the size of the chaotic skynet is only enough to cover one of Furukawa's tails, and most of his body cannot be covered. It is like just putting on Furukawa's shoes. No matter how the dark spider demon activated the chaos skynet, it could not capture Furukawa. This is like a 10-meter fishing net. It is impossible to catch a whale hundreds of meters long. Such a whale can easily tear the fishing net apart as long as it breaks free. You can even escape easily. After all, Furukawa's original ancient snake body is 50 billion kilometers long. It is so scary that if you want to completely wrap Furukawa with a net, you don't know how big a net is needed to do it. Is that all there is to it? Furukawa was condescending and looked at the dark spider demon indifferently. He exuded a terrifying aura, suppressing the chaotic time and space in all directions, shocking the world. An indescribable terror spread across the void. No, run away. The dark spider demon was so frightened that it felt the fatal murderous intention. It wanted to activate the chaos skynet to stop Furukawa, and then it took the opportunity to quickly escape from this place. In an instant, the chaos skynet bloomed with infinite golden light, and countless the law lines seemed to want to take the opportunity to extend out, completely covering and wrapping Furukawa's body. At the same time, the chaotic skynet produced a strong pulling force, trying to pull Furukawa's body, preventing Furukawa from any movement, which would facilitate the dark spider demon. Escape from here. It's a useless move, not to mention that this chaotic skynet can't cover me. Even if it can really cover my whole body, it can't do anything to my original ancient snake. Furukawa circulated the blood in his body, forcing out a drop of primitive venom in an instant. Although it is only one drop, it is compared to Furukawa's body of 50 billion primitive ancient snakes. For ordinary creatures, this drop of primitive venom is the venom was probably the size of an ordinary planet.
Wow.
The next second, this drop of original venom moved with lightning speed, and under the control of Furukawa, it completely enveloped the chaotic skynet in an instant. It seems that at this moment, the chaos skynet is completely covered by the original venom, every line of law is eroded by the original venom, and the original power is invaded and corroded by the original venom. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 46. ZZ. In an instant, under the erosion of the original venom, the chaos skynet actually started to smoke. The spiritual imprint deep inside it was quickly corroded and assimilated by the original venom. This kind of invasion is mandatory, even if the chaos skynet is the net cannot stop it. Because this is a highly poisonous thing, the most powerful poison of chaos, and no magic weapon can stop it. Ah! Immediately, the dark spider demon let out a shrill scream, as if its soul had been corroded by sulfuric acid, and thick smoke came out of its soul, causing severe pain. It had never felt such pain in its life. It was as if someone had cut its soul into pieces with 1,000 knives. Even according to its powerful soul, it could not bear such pain. It even found that the spiritual imprint that it had originally left on the chaos skynet was now corroded by the original venom. It quickly disappeared, and its control of chaos skynet was close to nothing. At this moment it actually found that it had lost control of chaos skynet. How can it be? The dark spider demon couldn't help but screamed. It simply couldn't believe what it was feeling, because this chaos skynet was its companion magic weapon, and it was a natural fit. Moreover, it also tempered this chaos magic weapon day and night, and transformed its own magic weapon into its own. The soul mark is engraved in it, and no god or demon should be able to use it except himself, even if he dies. But now this primitive ancient snake actually has a way to completely remove his soul mark, forcibly depriving himself of the control of the chaos heaven. The control of the web is like kicking away the original owner of this house and occupying it directly. This makes it difficult to accept such a thing. It is really ridiculous. But how does the dark spider demon know the terror of the original venom in Furukawa's body? Such primitive venom can be called the nemesis of countless magic weapons in the world. Such a drop of venom can not only poison the gods and demons, but also cause the magic weapon to produce dirt, corrode the spiritual imprint inside the magic weapon, and at the same time assimilate the magic weapon. The origin of magic. And this kind of magical power is somewhat similar to the five-color divine light that the great demon in later generations uses for everything. Any magic weapon can be forcibly taken as one's own. Of course, the five-element divine light has a natural restraint effect on ordinary magic weapons. Chaos magic weapon will not work. However, Furukawa's original venom has the special power to forcibly deprive and control the chaos magic weapon. Therefore, if other gods and demons want to use some chaos magic weapon to deal with Furukawa, it is not to deal with it. It is purely come and give Furukawa treasure. It can be said that this bloodline ability alone is enough to give Furukawa a great advantage when fighting other gods and demons. This is not something that other gods and demons can compare with. It worked. At this time, Furukawa found that he had completely eroded the Chaos Skynet, snatched it from the hands of the Dark Spider Demon, and completely took it for himself. He felt that his mind and heart had been completely integrated with the Chaos Skynet and his mind fusion. Of course, such a degree of fusion is naturally not particularly smooth. After all, it has just been refined. It will take some time and months of journaling to truly reach the supreme state of human-machine integration. Just like the Chaos Bead, after many years of tempering, he and the Chaos Pearl have long been integrated into one body, and they are indistinguishable from each other. Puff! With a sound, just when the original venom completely eroded the Chaos Skynet, the Dark Spider Demon couldn't bear it anymore. His soul was severely injured, and he spurted out a mouthful of blood. Because the Chaos Skynet fit with its soul, the soul unity, now it was forcibly taken away, which was equivalent to directly severely damaging the soul of the Dark Spider Demon. It could not bear such a heavy blow, and passed out directly. It's over now. When the Octopus Demon and Moth Demon in the distance saw this scene, their faces suddenly turned green. They originally thought that the Dark Spider Demon had used its trump card. Even if it couldn't stop the primitive ancient snake, it could block it for a moment and provide them with the opportunity to escape.
Time.
But looking at it now, it is completely useless. A Dark Spider Demon is cold. Before, this bastard was bragging that his companion magic weapon was very powerful and that he was invincible. It was all just a boast and of no use at all. Normally, it seemed great at the time, but it fell apart at the critical moment. Of course they wanted to help, but under the suppression of the Chaos Realm, they were powerless.
Gomein.
Furukawa looked at the Octopus Demon, the Moth Demon, and the unconscious Dark Spider Demon indifferently. He originally planned to kill these three gods and demons, but now he changed his mind. Anyway, he has plenty of flesh and blood. Moreover, the value of these three chaotic gods and demons alive is relatively greater.
Boom.
Thinking of this, he moved his mind and used the power of the Chaos Bead, and the Chaos Bead immediately produced a terrible suction, as if it turned into a huge black hole. The endless chaotic air flow continued to spread, like a terrifying giant beast. With a bang, it swallowed the Moth Demon, Octopus Demon, and Dark Spider Demon in one bite. The next second, these three chaotic gods and demons, they are all imprisoned and entered into the Chaos Bead space. Anyway, if they enter the Chaos Bead space, it is equivalent to being imprisoned into the Chaos Prison. Without Furukawa's permission, they probably cannot leave. And if they stay long enough, he will also be eroded by the Mark of Chaos and completely surrender to Furukawa. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 47. Click, click, click. At this time, Furukawa captured all the Moth Demons, Octopus Demons, and Dark Spider Demons and imprisoned them in the Chaos Bead space. He opened his mouth wide and swallowed all the flesh and blood of gods and demons scattered in the surrounding chaotic void in an instant. inside the belly. Even if you think that these gods and demons were killed by Furukawa in an instant, they are nothing special. In fact, their strength can be regarded as first-class gods and demons. Although they can't be regarded as domineering existences, there are few gods and demons who dare to provoke him. It's just that they are too unlucky and will be killed instantly when they encounter Furukawa. If we talk about the original energy of gods and demons, as well as the energy of flesh and blood, each of these dead gods and demons is estimated to be more powerful than the Locust Mother demon killed last time. This is because hundreds of epochs have passed since the death of the Mother Locust demon. During this period of time, these gods and demons were not on a vegetarian diet and had been undergoing rapid evolution. Of course, their evolution speed is not as fast as Furukawa, but even so, compared with the locusts hundreds of years ago, the she-demon is already quite powerful. Tasty. Furukawa kept chewing and felt that each piece of flesh and blood of gods and demons had a different taste. Some were like beef, some were like mutton, some were like fish, etc. The taste was different. Of course, he did not eat these flesh and blood of gods and demons for the taste. Well, it is to swallow the energy in the flesh and blood, which is of great benefit to the growth of the original ancient snake body.
Wow.
After he swallowed the flesh and blood of these gods and demons, he immediately entered his primitive stomach, and the huge flesh and blood energy flowed through the limbs and bones of his primitive ancient snake body. In an instant, Furukawa felt the warm current of divine and demonic energy flowing in every corner of his body, as if countless rivers were flowing through his meridians. Every primitive ancient snake cell in his body is greedily devouring these gods and demons' energy, and at the same time, every primitive ancient snake cell is also evolving rapidly. Rumble. In an instant, after Furukawa ate the flesh and blood of these gods and demons, his primitive ancient snake body expanded by a large circle, and it seemed to be more powerful than the previous primitive ancient snake body. He felt that the mana in his body was also growing rapidly, and even the blood energy of the original ancient snake's body had more than doubled than before. And this is only the energy of digesting a part of the flesh and blood of gods and demons. A large part is actually still stored in the stomach and has not been digested yet. After the energy of these gods and demons' flesh and blood is completely digested, the power in his body will definitely be much more powerful. By the way, it's time to throw all these plant gods and demons into the chaos speed space. Furukawa also set his sights on the lair of the world tree at this time. One of his purposes here is to find some plant gods and demons to make the chaos speed space more lively. Not only is the world tree living there, that's it. And if there are more lives in the chaos speed space, then the chaos speed will evolve faster. It seems that the aura and energy emitted by the huge number of lives are beneficial to the growth of the chaos speed. After all, the formation of a real world cannot be achieved without life. That's impossible. The more life there is, and the more types there are, then the world will naturally become more prosperous and prosperous.
Whoosh.
Thinking of this, he immediately flew towards the original nest of the world tree. Win, we win. Haha, it's great that all those bad guys are gone. Boss, where did you find your bodyguards? How can they be so powerful? At this moment, Xianxia and other Lolita were very excited. They saw that Furukawa had killed most of the gods and demons. Even if the remaining 3 were still alive, they were captured. Obviously, they have won a big victory now. They are looking at the little lowly Xianxia with great admiration at this moment. It can be said that they worship the world tree like never before. Don't even look at who your boss is. I am the famous world tree, the strongest god and demon in the future. Hearing this, little Lolita she was even more proud. If she had a tail, it would have been raised long ago. The primitive ancient snake can be regarded as a wise eye and knows the potential and power of your boss, so he is willing to become your boss's protector and be responsible for protecting my growth. After your boss and I become powerful, I will continue to support him. Little Lolita Xianxia put her hands on her hips. So that's the case. No wonder the boss is attracted by the primitive ancient snake. It turns out that he is attracted by the potential of the boss. Sure enough, the boss is the most powerful. Even such a powerful bodyguard is willing to protect the boss and be his subordinate. As expected of the boss of World Tree, he is really awesome. A group of Lolita admired them so much that they fell into admiration. Ahem, keep a low profile and don't tell this matter casually, otherwise it will arouse the jealousy of other gods and demons. Little Lolita chinned she was already extremely excited, but she still coughed, indicating that these were all false claims and nothing at all. After all, she would be the strongest god and demon sooner or later. Dawn, let's go. At this moment, Furukawa's voice came over. Before little Loli Chensi could say what she was thinking, the power of the chaos bead instantly surrounded the entire nest of the world tree. There was a bang and the chaos bead instantly, it completely swallowed up the entire nest of the world tree, swallowed it into the chaos bead space at once, and placed it on the land where the world tree itself is located. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 48. What is this place? After being swallowed into the chaos bead space by Furukawa, Star Tree Loli and other plant gods and demons were immediately confused. If they were not sure that Furukawa had no ill intentions towards them, they would have been scared to death. At this moment, they calmed down quickly, and then they immediately felt that they seemed to have arrived in a strange chaotic void, which was completely different from before. Haha, this is your boss's new lair. It's different from before. The area is estimated to be tens of thousands of times larger. Little Lolita Chensi put her hands on her hips, pointing proudly to the land where her body is located. She looked proud, because such a large land was also due to her. Without her help, this land would not have grown so quickly. Oh my god, is this our new lair? Star Tree Loli's eyes lit up when she saw this new piece of land made of chaotic loam. She felt unprecedented excitement and joy. You know, the desire of plant gods and demons for land is unprecedented. Yes, their wish is that the entire chaotic world is filled with land, and everywhere is covered with fragrant soil. So now they see such a large piece of land appearing, one can imagine their excitement. From birth to now, I have never seen such a vast and boundless land. If I had to use a metaphor, I am afraid that the tiled house made of soil that I lived in the countryside was suddenly moved to a double-story villa on the seaside. To say that I am not excited is not to say that I am not excited.
Possible thing.
No way. Does this huge piece of land belong to us? A Loli blinked her big eyes, shining with excitement. That's right, they all belong to us, and we can occupy them as we please. Little Lolita Chensi said openly. Now she is so wealthy that she doesn't care about giving up some land. Anyway, this land is still growing and will become even bigger in the future. It will be enough for everyone present. The growth of plant-based gods and demons. In fact, when she built the World Tree's nest before, she was not so generous. As a plant, it is natural to want to expand the land area. The problem is that if the land is too big, the target will become too big. It will also expose this land to the sight of other gods and demons, making it difficult to hide in the chaotic void. At this moment, they are still relatively weak plant-type gods and demons. If they are discovered by other powerful gods and demons, I am afraid they will be dead in an instant. It will kill and devour the source. So no matter how much World Tree wants to expand the land area, she can only endure it. But it is different now. Under the protection of Furukawa, she does not need to worry about the attacks of other gods and demons. This way, first of all, it is natural to build as much land as possible, and it is best to fill every void in chaos. This is also the ambition of little Loli Chensi, as the World Tree. Mine. Everything belongs to me. I want to plant all this land with stargrass. Zingwanko, Loli shouted. She immediately threw herself on the ground, rubbing her little head in the dirt. Her dirty, muddy face showed a look of happiness. She had already thought of this boundless land. The land is covered with stargrass. This is simply the kingdom of stargrass. No, it should be called an empire. Gaga, Only such a large piece of land can match my status as the king of Startree. Startree Lolita is very satisfied with this new home. She had abandoned her old world tree nest a long time ago. In front of such a vast and boundless land, her previous nest was in a remote place. Sorry, she is such a goddess who likes the new and hates the old. Devil. After all, after seeing international metropolises like New York and London, who would want to go back to a remote country with no water or electricity? You can make accurate judgments with your knees. I want this territory. Mo Shu lowly rolled her eyes and immediately took action, quickly carving up a large piece of land. Despicable. I've taken a liking to this land, it's mine. Not mine. Damn it. Why don't you come to practice? You actually want to jump ahead. A group of Lolita rushed to occupy the territory here. They can't wait to completely occupy this place. They want every inch of territory. In fact, the competition between plants is also quite cruel. Powerful plants occupy more territories, occupying better water sources and occupying more sunlight, while weak plants can only huddle together, just getting some space that powerful plants do not need so that they can grow tenaciously in a corner. However, occupying land and occupying water sources, this is the instinct of plant gods and demons, and it is understandable. At this moment, Furkawa didn't pay attention to the actions of little lowly Xianxia and other plant gods and demons. Anyway, for him, it was enough as long as they could live in the chaos bead space. As for how they want to build this land, it depends on their own ideas, and he is not going to interfere. At this time, he was slowly refining the chaos magic artifact obtained from the dark spider demon, Chaos Skynet. He felt a unique power of law from this Chaos Skynet. Reading books on May Day is a joy. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP points. Grab a deposit now. Activity time, April 29th to May 3rd. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 49. Is this Chaos Skynet? Furukawa's consciousness was immersed in this magic weapon of chaos, Chaos Skynet. He had not carefully understood the power of this magic weapon before. After all, he had other things to do. Now he has put aside other things and finally, he had time to carefully study this chaos magic weapon obtained from the dark spider demon, a treasure born from chaos. But this realization gave him a huge insight. In his perception, this magic weapon has a total of 3,000. The lines of law are intertwined and seem to symbolize the 3,000 avenues in the chaos. When the chaotic Skynet blasts out and covers the enemy, it is as if the 3,000 avenues are shooting out at the same time, forming a perfect realm of heaven and earth, trapping the enemy in the chaotic Skynet. It is as if the enemy is wrapped in a chaotic world. The 3,000 avenues form one body without any flaws. The enemy cannot escape from the Skynet at all. If the strength of the dark spider demon is if it were hundreds of times more powerful, I am afraid that the Chaos Skynet could easily cover his body of a primitive ancient snake. If he did not have the ability of primitive venom, he would probably be caught by the Chaos Skynet and unable to escape. No matter how hard you struggle is impossible. Therefore, it is conceivable that the power of this Chaos Skynet is definitely the most powerful magic weapon to trap the enemy. In Furukawa's view, this Chaos Skynet fell into the hands of the dark spider demon. That is simply a waste of natural resources. No, this magic weapon can not only trap enemies, it seems that it can also be integrated into the body. Furukawa's heart moved. As he deepened his refining of the Chaos Skynet, he suddenly discovered that the Chaos Skynet condensed by the threads of 3,000 laws was now in a void state. If it weren't for his extremely sharp spiritual consciousness, at this moment, the existence of the Chaos Skynet could no longer be sensed. It seemed to be blending into the chaotic void silently, almost undetectable.
Boom tilde.
The next second, this Chaos Skynet was actually directly integrated into Furukawa's original ancient snake. In his body, 3,000 threads of law completely wrapped his original ancient snake body. It was like putting clothes on Furukawa's body, but this was a transparent clothes, a clothes of laws, made from chaos. The chaos heavenly clothes born in it. The aura was gone from me. Furukawa's eyes widened. He felt incredible in his heart. After his body integrated into the Chaos Skynet, the Chaos Skynet actually turned into Chaos Heavenly Clothes, covering his body like clothes. He also felt that this was a matter of course. In fact, the clothes are actually denser fishing nets, and there is no essential difference between the two, so it is normal for the Chaos Skynet to turn into Chaos Sky Clothes. When this Chaos Sky Clothes merges into Furukawa's body, one of the 3,000 laws threads covered the whole body, and Furukawa's body suddenly appeared in a state of emptiness. All the breath disappeared, as if he was outside the three realms, deep in the dimension. This is a wonderful state that is neither virtual nor real, neither false nor empty. In this state, Furukawa is like a creature in a higher dimension. Even if other gods and demons pass by him, they cannot detect his existence. Previously, Furukawa's innate magical power, Shadow, was powerful enough. This magical power allows Furukawa to easily blend into the chaotic void and restrain his breath to the greatest extent. However, this magical power is not perfect. If other gods and demons are extremely sensitive to breath perception, or have divine eyes that can see through illusions, Furukawa's existence can still be found. But it is different now. When the Chaos Skynet is integrated into Furukawa's body, it is not just as simple as completely condensing Furukawa's aura, but in essence, it erases his sense of existence. If only the aura converges, then those gods and demons who have the ability to see through illusions and have keen perception can also discover the existence of Furukawa and understand his signs. But after the sense of existence is eliminated, it is extremely scary. That is, even if they can see where Furukawa is, the gods and demons will subconsciously ignore it, as if Furukawa does not exist at all. This can be called the highest level of convergence magical power. It can be said that if Furukawa is willing, other gods and demons will not be able to discover him. Exist. Interesting. Furukawa was amazed. He had underestimated the power of this magic weapon Chaos Skynet before. The power of this magic weapon was beyond his imagination. The ability to eliminate the sense of existence alone was enough to make this magic weapon. This magic weapon ranks among the top ranks of chaos magic weapons. However, it seems that the Dark Spider Demon did not use this ability before, otherwise Furukawa probably would not be able to catch it. But if you think about it carefully, this is also a normal thing. After all, no matter how powerful the magic weapon is, its users are still gods and demons. If the gods and demons are not strong enough, they will not be able to bring out all the abilities of this chaos magic weapon. It is like a sword that is as sharp as clay, held by a 3-year-old child. It is estimated that it can only be used to chop vegetables, but if it is held by a peerless general, it will be an invincible artifact that can dominate the battlefield. The same reason is true. The strength of the Dark Spider Demon is far from enough at the moment, and it is still unable to fully exert the power of the Chaos Skynet. When it came out, it thought that this magic weapon was only used to trap and refine enemies. It also did not develop the second ability of Chaos Skynet, nor did it understand this special power. So now this magic weapon is cheap Furukawa. This ability should be called Seamless. Furukawa narrowed his eyes. The Primitive Ancient Snake. Chapter 50. However, apart from the Chaos Skynet, the law patterns contained in the Dark Spider Demon are not simple either. Furukawa narrowed his eyes. Just like the world tree Xianxia, she is a born god and demon, and her body contains the patterns of the world's laws. Just by understanding the patterns of the world's laws in her body, she can naturally master them. These are the gods and demons. A natural ability. The same is true for the Dark Spider Demon. It possesses a spider web intertwined with threads of 3,000 laws. This ability is extraordinary. Even now, it is still too weak to detect. But Furukawa has already noticed it. In the dark spider on the body of the demon, he seemed to see the pattern of the universe Bagua, which was somewhat similar to the innate gossip created by Fuxi in later generations and the acquired gossip created by later generations of humans. However, the dark spider demon was engraved with the more tyrannical chaos Bagua, which came from chaos. Void, the most essential power of the laws of yin and yang bagua. It can be said that if this dark spider demon fully grows up, it will definitely be one of the 3,000 gods and demons. Its potential may be a little weaker than the world tree, but it is not too weak. At this moment, the dark spider demon is still in a deep sleep. After all, it was so severely injured by Furukawa. If there is not enough time, it will be difficult to repair the injuries on its soul. But even so, the injuries on its body will fade with time. As time goes by, it is being repaired bit by bit. It is estimated that it will be restored to its heyday in a short time. This is the extremely powerful resilience of gods and demons, which is not comparable to other creatures. In fact, the moth demon, the same is true for the two major gods and demons, the octopus demon, and their injuries are actually much lighter than those of the dark spider demon, so their recovery speed may be faster. Yin and yang generate Tai Chi. Tai Chi generates Liang Yi. Liang Yi generates 4 symbols, and 4 symbols generate Bagua. Furukawa recalled the content of the Book of Changes, which is a description of the 8 diagrams of the universe. The 2 rituals are yin and yang, which can be extended to heaven and earth, day and night, men and women, etc. at different times. The 4 images are Xiaoyin, Xiaoyang, Taiyin, and Sunday. At different times, it can correspond to the 4 directions, 4 seasons, and 4 phenomena respectively. The green dragon lives in the east, and the air of spring is dominated by Xiaoyang. The red bird lives in the south, and the air of summer is dominated by the sun. The white tiger lives in the west, and the air of autumn is dominated by Xiaoyin. Underscore to put it simply, these are the 8 basic objects. Qian is the sky, Kuan is the earth, earthquake is the thunder, Sun is the wind, Zhen is the mountain, Dui is the lake, Kan is the water, Li is the fire, collectively called the classics.
Gua.
The 4 images perform the Bagua, direction, and the 88 generates the 64 hexagrams. This is the Fushi Bagua, also called the Xiantian Bagua.